But my beats, they are hard.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to a Sunday night live edition of the BCSN SportsWrap. Still on the road, or at least I am. But we are both in Atlanta, Georgia. Bryan Fulford and A.D. Drew here. Drew, how you doing, brother?
Doing all right, my brother. Got to ask the question, Bryan.
Yep.
I was on Dr. Cavill's show this morning. Dr. Cavill and Mike Washington entered the transfer portal and took their talents, their fandom talents, to Jackson, Mississippi to join the I Love. Bryan, do you have an announcement?
How dare you, Drew?
I have to questions because I was blindsided by that. I was blindsided by that.
Well, okay, so I'll say it like this. I want money with Jackson State, so I'm very happy to say I rooted for the champs and the champs won me money. That's so. Does that qualify? Is that good enough?
Yeah, that is good enough. And Bryan.
Because that's about the most you're gonna get from me.
I got you. Bryan, I am not jumping into the portal. I am going to keep my allegiance with my alma mater at the highest of 7 hills in Tallahassee, Florida. But Bryan, I must take this moment and congratulate 1400 Lynch Street, the I Love, Jackson State University, and gladly, and I won't say gladly, but humbly pass the torch of the defending national championship to Jackson, Mississippi. And I am actually honored that it remained in the SWAC for 2 consecutive years for the first time in history.
Yeah, this is the first time that it's ever gone this way, right?
Yes.
Right. And I do want to look, see, I can't win. I can't win with y'all. Some of y'all, look, I rooted for y'all. Yes, I did root for y'all. I rooted for y'all. I wanted y'all to win Sonic Boom. Israel Carey, the rest of I even tweeted congratulations to my favorite Charlie's Angels, my favorite Jackson State Angels. I even shouted them out. I mean, I didn't get no kind of response, but that's not to be expected. They were celebrating. But look, that's how I show my love, Sonic Boom. That's how I show my love. I put my money behind J State, and they came through for me. Okay, so there you go. This is a good question, Drew. While we're talking about that, the over under. Well, see, if this counts as one, here's one. I'm not going to make mention of it. The over under. Now, I'm not going to speak for the folks in the chat room. A line at 15 is kind of high. It's kind of high. 15 in the first 90 minutes is kind of high, but we'll see. we'll see.
How many overall the 2023 FAMU championships we mentioned? And oh my God, Ram Nation!
Yeah.
Don't hate because we won a national championship more recent than you guys have. You guys are all the way back in the teens.
Ooh, there's one. That's one right there. Ding. Every time that happens, I don't have a ding, but it's like ding.
Your coach has left and gone to 3 different schools since then, or 2 different schools.
2, yeah, maybe 2.
And looking for a 3rd.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So today we are going to salute the champions. That's right. We're going to give respect. We're going to put respect on their name. I listened to a few post game shows. I enjoyed seeing all the content. Look, I know, Drew. You got me here. Here's number 2. I know the feeling, Jackson State. We know the feeling. Number 2, we know the feeling. I can see the sense of pride. I can see the sense of relief. I can see the sense of enjoyment, the celebration. The seeing TC Taylor celebrate. It reminded me so much of 2023. Damn, I guess that's 3 now. This might go over. If you took the over, this might go over. I didn't want to do this, but look, I get it. I get it. Congratulations. We're going to put respect on their name. They are my number 1 HBCU football team. Notice what I said, Drew. They are my number 1 HBCU football team after this season. They deserve it.
They deserve it. They earned it.
Undisputed. No ifs, ands, or but. Unlike the previous one where we the Black College Sports Network recognized Jackson State back in 2021. Of course, that was the year they lost to South Carolina State, but we still recognize them based on their record and performance. We hate on them, Brian. Black College Sports Network hates on them. We do. Well, we congratulate we congratulate all of the folks from Jackson who went to the game and from far and far wide. It was a beautiful, beautiful performance. But we got a lot to talk about on this show. Coming up here just very shortly, our Coach Farasi Norman, who was in Atlanta. So we will get a chance to talk to him. Many of you probably saw Coach. You talked to him. Maybe you rubbed shoulders next to him and didn't even know it. But Coach was in the building, so we're going to bring him on in a second. Coming up in hour 2, we're going to talk to friend of the program, Travis Jerome, of course, Mr. Jerome, the Associate Athletic Director of Communications and
all of the above.
Yeah, like a very long
that is with the extra E.
Yes. What we might used to call an SID, the SID of Jackson State. He's going to come on and join the show. Let me see. I forgot that question, Ed. What was the question by Ed? How much will you lie to your fellow FAMUans and tell them Cozy will have a year 2 like Cozy? Wow. Okay. I don't think I have to lie. I think well, anyway, this isn't about us. Don't do this. Ed, don't do it. See, you guys are trying to bait me.
Now they trying to bait you to go down a rabbit hole.
I know they're trying to bait me. I'm not gonna fall for it. I'm gonna let my brothers like EA get a hold of you in the chats. That's all right. Appreciate you, EA. I'm not gonna do it. All right, let's bring in Coach Farasi because I want to bring in Coach. Look who's joining us back in his home crib, Coach Farasi Norman. Coach, how you doing, brother? Good to see you.
Hey, good. Hey, I'm like, didn't I just see you guys like 24, 42 hours ago? Everything like that. Hey, it was good to be in Atlanta. It was good to meet you for the first time, BF. Once again, I say thank you for everything. My man AD was well. I got to sleep on his couch for 3 days and meet his family. Hey, he's a father and a grandfather all the way. I mean, them kids love him. His daughter love him. Just to see him interact with his family, I was like, wow. When he comes through that door, the little 5-year-old, he drops everything. Games, sodas. Hey, Pawpaw's home, and he jumps in his arms, and AD drops everything for him too. Fellas, if you guys don't know, he's a very good family man, good dude, good friend. I got to meet a lot of people when I was in Atlanta, and I appreciate everything. Still don't have a job yet, but I got some inquiries. A lot of people gave me thumbs up, positive pats on the back, and everything like that. So I got no doubt, hopefully by Christmas or no later than the new year, we'll all be toasting drinks to get me back on the field. But it was a pleasure being in Atlanta, man. I felt good. Even when I was on the stage, I said, this feels right. This feels right, just being around everybody. And so I appreciate you guys in Atlanta and everyone who came up to me. There was a couple people in the chat like, hey, Coach, I'm such on the chat. I'm like, oh, okay, hey, how you doing? So it was just good to be around everybody and shake everybody's hands and stuff like that. But can't say much about you guys. I mean, not enough about you guys, man. I appreciate everything you've done for me. And hopefully we don't have to do this next year. Next year we'll be interviewing, hey, Coach, how was that game? Or whatever else like that. But I think you guys have helped me to the point where I know I'm very well known, because when I'm walking down the hallways, people are saying, hey, Coach Norman, I'm like, and that's only because of you guys. And once again, I say thank you both. Roy, Dr. Cavill, Carlos Brown. Got to hang out with him and his partner. Hey, good dude. He's a jokester. If you guys don't know Carlos Brown, he kept me rolling the whole time. I mean, so the whole BCSN network crowd was a friend of mine, is a friend of mine, and I just can't say too much more about him. I will say this, though, and Drew can testify. I got quizzed by a 22-year-old about my schemes of football. I was like, huh? He walked up to me, and it looked afro, little thin brother, like 5'6", $130. He looked at me, he's like, hey, Coach Norman, what's your schemes? And I was like, oh, so I didn't have a marker, so I got to the wall. I'm on the wall drawing up offense, defense for about 12 minutes, and then I looked at him, I said, did I pass? And he's like, yeah, you passed. I'm like, oh, thank you. A 20-year-old checked me. I'm like, what's your scheme? I was like, hey, okay, I'm good, brother. I'm solid. If you want to get on the board, let's get on the board. But, and then Roy let me, take center stage. I was like, Drew got up and walked off. Roy like, Coach, need you to sit right there. I'm thinking I'm just going to be sitting there. Next thing you know, it's like, boom, I'm with Coach Barry. I'm with the players. I got the lady next to me. I'm doing interviews. I'm like, oh, okay, hey, but it felt good. Once again, it just felt right being around the good people. And good things happen when you're around good people. So I got no doubt sometime soon that phone will ring and I can get back up there and get to work. But it all because of the Black College Sports Network. Yeah, I'm back home. Hey, it's warm in here. It ain't cold no more. I can, talk to my landlord, everything like that. But
Amen for that.
yeah, really, really, and everything like that. So I'm back home in Alabama. Well, it's not home, but I'm here for the time being.
You're at your
the next couple of weeks or so. Yeah. Oh no, it's my house. I pay rent. You know what I'm saying? I pay rent. Anything like that. So I'm back here in Alabama for now, but hopefully soon I can get on the move. Once again, it's just me and 3 bags. You know what I'm saying? It ain't a whole bunch of movement. It ain't a wife and kids. Nothing against those who got that, but it's just me and 3 bags. So I'm feeling very optimistic about getting out there. Shout out to everybody that I spoke with. There was so many of them. I don't want to sit there and take names or anything like that, but a lot of people gave me pats on the back and thumbs up, and that's because of you guys, especially you, BF, because once again, I reached out to you and you reached back and you introduced me to your partner right there, and he reached back and it just went down the line. So I'm feeling optimistic. I'm feeling good. This will be my turn to get back out there. But my time in Atlanta was when old boy checked me last night. I'm not really gonna say check because check is like he tried to push me around. He didn't do that. He walked up on me though. He walked up on me like, Coach Norman.
He quizzed you.
Thank you, brother. He quizzed me like, Coach Norman. I said, yes, sir. Because I respect everybody. I said, yes, sir. You can tell who's a youngster. He said, yes, sir. He said, what's your schemes? I was like, okay. And
you have professionals in
I drew it up real quickly. It took me about 12 to explain offense, defense, this special teams behind me and everything like that. And I look at him. I said, hey, like, did I pass? He's like, yeah, you good. I was like, oh, thank you. Like, oh, thank you. Everything like that. So I'm like, wow. But had fun in Atlanta. Nice city. What they call it, Hot Atlanta down there. Wasn't hot down there. It was kind of chilly. Got to see the sound. Got to meet the athletic director from Morehouse. Good dude all the way around. Thumbs up to him. He's a native. He's from Atlanta. We had a good conversation. Drew introduced me to him. Got to meet Ashley Robinson. Roy introduced me to him. And I got to meet you guys at AD, at the media day. She's a beautiful woman, highly intelligent. You guys got a good one. I mean, I was still on the side of the old one, but everybody was like, hey, leave her alone. This is who we got right here. But the one you got now, she was highly intelligent. And she gave me 2 thumbs like, hey, coach, I like what I see on TV. She let me know I have a football coach, everything like that. I said, hey, no problem, but I like what I see on TV. So I just felt good when people of that magnitude can say, coach, I like what I see. And I'm like, okay, I'm in the right direction. Then I met Mr. Rod Broadway and I met Sam Washington. Hey, that's greatness right there. That's greatness right there. I was like, I told everybody, I said, I'm feeling 7'5". I'm 5'8". Like, wow. Okay, cool. Everything like that. So I got to meet some really good people, everything like that. So my time was well spent in Atlanta. Hopefully I'll be on the move in the next couple of weeks to a new destination. But the Celebration Bowl, that whole weekend from Thursday through this morning, I just give 2 thumbs up. And that's because of you two right there. Thank you, brothers.
Nice. Well, hey, thank you to everybody who checked out the content over. You got a lot of options these days, which is a great thing for the diaspora. But we appreciate everybody who tuned in to Dr. Cavill's and our BCSN Game Time shows that were on Thursday night, the stuff we did Friday Media Day, and then, of course, this morning. So appreciate everybody.
Excuse me, Brian.
Yeah.
I need you to reset the clock to 5 minutes and 42 seconds, Brian. Reset the clock, please.
Hey, do we really have to talk about that game? Because
yes, we do.
Hey, look,
we owe it to Jackson State.
So let's set the table here because
I need to tell what that running joke is, Brian.
Hey, shout out to Travis Hunter.
It took me a second.
Let's talk about the game, guys.
It took me a second to get that, Drew. Yes, because so AD and I, for those who don't know, we AD is the official score for the Celebration Bowl, as well as the MEAC SWAC Challenge early in the year. I work as one of his spotters. We're a team of 4 essentially when we do these games. So it was very funny in the course of this contest, the number of times that I don't even know what the running number was, Drew. Was it over 10?
I know that last 2 minutes, there had to be 8 in the last 2 minutes of the first half.
And what we're talking about is, if you were in the stadium, the number of times that the head referee asked the official clock to reset the clock to X, Y, whatever time.
Sometimes it was 1 second, sometimes it was
unprecedented. I had never been at a game and in working in this capacity where the official where I don't know, was the clock really that off? But I mean, it was crazy how many times that was. And I think, Drew, the guys who do the clock were sitting like right next to us, like in the booth to the right of us.
Right.
And I think at one
us
point,
in the media room.
yeah. So at one point I looked over there and, the guy was, he's an older white guy and he was he had a chill look on his face. I almost wanted to look over and do like this. What are y'all doing over there? But then I said, nah, let me be professional here. Let me not do this because that'd be like people coming into the room when we're doing stats and say, hey, you got the wrong person here. Or, hey, so-and-so didn't make that tackle. Or so, so, I mean, it is kind of,
it got to the point where it was annoying, Brian. Let's just say well, especially for the position that I am as the lead. And it got to be annoying for a while.
Yeah. Oh, look at you. Sonic Boom, don't do this. Don't do that, Sonic Boom. Don't look. Look, I'm trying to be nice tonight.
I really don't think this game was. I love the way this game was officiated. But
there were 2.
Hold on, I'm gonna say this.
Go ahead.
The 2 calls on the call on the punt return for a touchdown and the pick 6. Yes. I understand why Jackson State people did not like those calls. I totally understand those.
Right.
Especially the pick 6 one, I thought was marginal. The punt return, I thought was a good call.
Which one was the holding on the sideline in front of the bench? Was that the pick
6? That was the
okay.
Pick 6.
I'm gonna tell you why that one got called. I'm gonna tell you why. I told BJ Jones. Shout out to BJ Jones. Had a great conversation with him as we were leaving the building. That one was called because the guy was holding the block for so long. I don't know that he was necessarily holding. It was just that he held that block for so long that it just looked like holding. You know what I'm saying? Because
if he'd have pancaked him, there would have been no call.
Exactly. Or if he had driven him out of bounds. You know what I'm saying? But because he held him in that spot for so long, I feel like the official was like, well, damn, he started that block at least 20 yards before the guy even got up on him. I'm gonna throw the flag. Yeah, so I get it. It was a look call. I don't know if it was a legit hold. It was a look call.
Well, hold up a second. Wasn't it a couple of weeks ago, a comrade of ours got upset because people were making complaints about refs, but now he's making complaints about refs.
No, I didn't make a complaint. I said I understand why the Jackson State faithful were upset about those 2 calls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand that because that was 14 points off the board.
Yeah.
On 2 calls.
Yeah.
Literally. So, and then Jackson State won the game by 21 points and left 20 points out there.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
because you had those 2 touchdowns called back, you had the block field goal, and then you had the missed field goal in the fourth quarter. So that's additional 20 points.
Yeah. Well, look, again, final score 28-7. Going into the, let's see, at the close of the game, Jackson State was a 3-point underdog. The line had moved from South Carolina State being a 1-point favorite earlier in the week to a 3-point, actually it was 2.5 Friday night. And then I grabbed it at +2, which is, I told Drew, I said, that's where I wanted it. I wanted the Jackson State +3. And the over-under was 54, which I was like, yeah, that's kind of high. That felt really high. And so anybody who follows me, you saw my 2 plays before the game. I posted it. Jackson State +3 is what I was playing. And I was playing over-under 54. So even if J-State, look, I already got burned by J-State in the SWAC championship game. So I was kind of nervous for a minute because I'm like, Jackson State has a habit of converting on mistakes by people at the end in the fourth quarter. So yeah, trust me, I was happy. I was happy those flags flew because they kept the total low, to be honest with you. But this, in terms of stats, just kind of go through a few stats. And then let you coach.
Let's start with the records.
The what?
Let's start with the records that were set if we're going to talk about stats.
Well, let's start with, hold on. Let me just I'm gonna give just the basics because, okay. and then let you guys get into that because I'm gonna just go through a couple of them here. Jackson State total yards, 385 total yards on 73 plays. South Carolina State 178 on 53 plays. Rushing the ball, Jackson State 152 on 51 carries. South Carolina State 30 yards on 19 carries. Let me see. Jackson State had 2. Let me see. Hold on, make sure I get this right. 2 interceptions on defense. South Carolina State only had 1. There was that crazy little stretch there where we had a turnover and then a fumble. I think they kind of went back to back. Penalty yards. Jackson State penalized 9 times, 81 yards. South Carolina State 3 times, 24 yards. Time of possession, 37 minutes even for Jackson State. South Carolina State 23-49. Third down conversions. Jackson State was 9 of 16. South Carolina State 2 of 13. Red zone scores. Jackson State scored 4 or 5 times in the red zone. South Carolina State 1 of 2. All right. Drew, coach, react to those numbers, and then we can get into talking about some of those records.
Go ahead, Drew.
Total domination, Brian. I said this morning. I'll re-emphasize this now, and Coach Norman can attest to this. Usually, when you're a football coach, defensively, you come and try to take either one thing or another away from your opponent. Either you try to take the running game away and force them to pass, or you try to take the pass game away and force them to run. Well, damn it, Brian. Damn it, Coach. Jackson State did both through 3 quarters. They took both the run game and the pass game away from South Carolina State and took a little bit of the life out of them also. Do you know in the fourth quarter, the play, it was like the 60-yard pass play from Eric Phoenix when Eric Phoenix came back into the game. I can't remember who he completed that pass to.
I'll tell you in a minute, yeah.
Okay, but do you know on that pass completion that they doubled their yards for the entire game on that one pass completion? And I remember it because we were talking about it in the press in the room where we were at doing stats. At that point in time, South Carolina State had 56 yards of total offense, and they picked up like 62 or 63 yards on that one play. That's what you call domination. If it took it to the fourth quarter. And when you think about it, Brian, they picked up 62, 63 yards of that one play. Yeah, how many yards did they have total? 178. That was a third of the offense on that one play, Brian.
Yeah.
One play was a third of your offensive production, Coach Norman. And I know you're an offensive coach who coach defense, but you have to give the props to them. And I know you're going to get into this, Coach Norman. Let's talk about that line play from Jackson State. Oh my God, they dominated the line, both sides of the line, and even when they didn't get anything on first down and or second down rushing the ball, they stayed with it in third down. And that's one of those things that it wasn't necessarily about the yardage for Jackson State. It was about the attempts and wearing the South Carolina State defense down. My last thing before I pass it off to you, Coach, there should have been a number for over or under for stop for cramps. I swear it felt like a September game with as many times as we had to stop for players on the field with cramps for South Carolina State.
What was it? Cramps or just little nicks and other stuff?
Whatever. But a lot of times you saw them down holding their legs and coming right back into the game, which I'm thinking was basically lack of hydration. That's one of those main things that lead to that. So, Coach Berry, regular season, let's give this man his props. 21 consecutive conference games in a row, 23 when you count the conference championship games that he won in the SIAC. But Chennis Berry, after a bye, has not fared so well, especially in the postseason.
I want to say this real quickly. Shout out to TC Taylor and Coach Chennis Berry. They did a great job coaching their teams this year. I'm gonna say I got the opportunity to meet everybody. Well, I got the opportunity to meet most of the guys on the team and the coaches. They came into the media room, and I just felt energy on both sides. If you go back to the statement, I asked everybody, "Are you guys ready for tomorrow?" South Carolina said yes, sir. I asked the coaches, "Are you guys ready for tomorrow?" Everybody said yes, sir. I was just in awe because I expected a better game, especially on the ground with both offensive lines being big and physical, and both teams got good backs. There was really no sign of running game. I know Irv got in the end zone twice, but there's little short runs. But we take them as we can get them as running backs. But it just wasn't dominant. Both teams played good defense, but I was expecting more. You guys a couple weeks ago said Eric Fee is probably the best HBCU quarterback, and I said I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with the guy from Alabama A&M, and people disputed me. Langford, I'm still gonna hang my hat. I like that kid a lot. Not that I don't like Phoenix, but I like Langford a lot. Once again, like that play that Drew said, I think that was probably the only play. You're like, oh, there's something. Now let's follow up with it. You didn't get nothing. A lot of people in the stands were upset with the OC. I don't know if Chennis is OC, but offense just wasn't there yesterday. Shout out to the Jackson State's defense. They did a great job stopping the run because I thought they were just going to try and run that ball down the throat. They got big boys, but they held them in check, man. It was like, wow. South Carolina State did the same thing. They held Irv. I thought he'd get busy. I thought he had $150, $175. What did he have? I mean, he didn't have that. He didn't have that.
71 total.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, and which is not a bad day, but I thought he hit 100 on them or something like that. But both teams played good defense, everything sort of like that. But I would just like offensively, I was kind of like, whoa. Even with Jackson State, yeah, they hit the scoreboard, everything. But you take those 2 touchdowns back, that'd be 48-7 or something like that. I don't know. I was just expecting more because the enthusiasm I was getting from the team, both sides. When they came in to see me and Roy and the BCSN, everyone was rah-rah and upbeat. And even Coach Berry was the only one who was just he had that look like he was in game mode already. TC was smiling. He had his son with him. Coach O got to meet Coach O. Shout out to Coach O. He gave me his phone number. He like, Coach, let's do business. Let's talk. So they was relaxed. Everything sort of like that. But I was really expecting more of a dominant run game. Didn't really get that from either side. Both teams played some good defense. But South Carolina State, man, I don't know. Sometimes those 3 weeks help you, and sometimes they hurt you. And in yesterday's case, I think they hurt them because you're not playing anyone.
It does seem that way.
You're not hitting anybody. And sometimes you heard Coach Berry say, "Oh, them 3 weeks did us good. We got a chance to heal up and nick up." And I'm thinking the same thing. Remember, I said that too. I said, them 3 weeks can do you good. But it's how you practicing during those 3 weeks. Are you just going out there studying? Are you just going out there for 20 minutes? Are you just going out there conditioning? Or are you really doing something? Yeah, you don't know who you're playing yet, but are you getting some work in? And I'm gonna say them 3 weeks hurt them because they're a better team than that. We've seen them; they're a better team than that. But then yesterday go, I think Jackson State, we said this last week, Jackson State's got a lot to play for. They're like 0-18 and postseason, haven't never won anything since Walter Payton in 71. TC's a hometown kid, a hometown boy, played there. So I said, he's gonna go look himself in the mirror. I'm gonna do this for my city and my school, and he did it. He did it. I think we can all say throw away the Deion saga now. There's no need to even mention his name no more when it comes to Jackson State. It's truly TC Taylor team now. And I said it earlier, and me and AD talked about it last night. Shout out to Travis Hunter. He gave props to Jackson State. I was so happy when he did that because we was wondering. We said, "Do you think he'll say something?" I don't know. I don't know. And they said, "Hey, I got to say something to Jackson State." I started there, and I was like, me and AD were like, "Yeah. All right. You know, I don't know. If we can call him an HBCU guy, but we can say he damn sure walked our campus. We can say that."
Yeah. Hey, Brian, hello, Brian. You do realize that Jackson State defeated South Carolina State yesterday by the same margin that South Carolina State defeated Jackson State in 21?
Yes. And they beat Andrew, and they beat them up the way South Carolina State beat them up. That was also very, very evident to me. Not just the score, but the nature and the way that they beat them. I mean, because we all commented, we were like, damn, South Carolina State is whooping y'all. Now, this time, it was like a complete 180 flip, payback, punch you in the mouth. And the drive of the game was I'm gonna go to it right here because I think I pulled it up. I got
19 plays.
It was the second offensive drive for Jackson State, right? First offensive drive, Jackson State punted. Then later in the first quarter, I'm gonna pull it up here because I remember statting this, and it just seemed so. I mean, once I got going on it, I was like, damn, this thing is really going. Jackson State started with 6:05. First off, the first two drives, let's talk about that for a second. The first two drives went, let me see. South Carolina State started at the 14:54 mark. Then Jackson State got the ball. The ball went all the way down to the Jackson State or South Carolina State 36. They punted. Jackson State ball on the 32. Jackson State started on the 32 at the 11:34 mark. They got all the way to their 49 before they punted. So 8:20. We had gone 6 minutes, Drew, and it was like, yo, it was actually no, one more drive by South Carolina State. So by the time Jackson State got their second offensive series, 6:05 is where they started this 19-play drive in the end of the first quarter that went all the way into the second quarter. Started on their own 22-yard line, Drew, and it was just 19 plays that I want to see how many. Let's see how many. I'm gonna count the number of third downs. 1, 2. Actually had a fourth down conversion, so keep track of that. Another third down conversion in that drive. Then we move into
2 fourth downs on that.
Yeah, drive. Then let me see. Moving into the second. Let me see. Here's another third down, and all the way into first and goal. So what was that? That's at least 4 or 5 third down conversions. There was only one fourth down conversion in that drive. Most of them were third down conversions. But at the end of it, 19. Let me go back to the summary here. Drive chart here. 19 plays, 78 yards, 9 minutes, 39 seconds from the end of the first quarter into about 11:26 in the second quarter. Drew, that was the drive of the game. That drive right there, one for the record books. I don't know if that was the longest, and we'll get Travis Jerome up later. It was a record.
It was a record as far as number of plays on a scoring drive and amount of time taken on a scoring drive in the Celebration Bowl history. And right. I mean, that was just a drive on top of all drives. You know something, Brian? I'm sitting here, I think back to 21, and I think to this year. in 21, you always felt Jackson State was one play away from getting back into that game in 21. I never had that feeling yesterday, Brian. After Jackson State showed that dominance and got up by 2 scores, I mean, it was over in my mind.
Oh, I called it over at 21-0. I mean, just to,
I said 2 scores. And when it was 14-0, you could tell this game was pretty much over. You never felt South Carolina State had a chance. When it was 21-0, it was like, all right, go ahead and start gardening, my lady. It's about time for you to start getting ready to sing.
Halftime was what, 14-0?
It was 14-0.
Yeah.
But the 14-0 at halftime, we all know that Jackson State has the ball to open up the second half. That's when we knew the game was over.
Yes. So I don't know. We've probably had a 1-play scoring drive in the Celebration Bowl. I'm sure we have.
Probably the 100-point game.
Yeah. But for Jackson State to score in the first half on a 19-play drive, and then answer that two possessions later with a 2-play 68-yard drive was like, I'm gonna cut you with little paper cuts, and then I'm just gonna slit your throat. And I mean, it was like, damn, is that how y'all doing it? I mean, it was impressive. And I look, my key to the game was South Carolina State cannot go into halftime trailing by more than 10, or actually, hell, 10. I said South Carolina State needed to be close within a field goal or tie or have a lead. Them being down 14-0, kiss of death. That defense has not, going in, 7 games, 13 points allowed, only 1 score given up in the fourth quarter, and that was in the SWAC championship game to Southern. So you kind of knew. I mean, I should have hedged even if I wasn't working, I would have put more down on Jackson State in the second half, because that I didn't have, after what I'd seen.
I knew this. I knew South Carolina State wasn't a good comeback team. I don't know how many times they've been down this year, but I'm with both of you. When the momentum, Jackson State had the momentum, and they were just punching them in the mouth, and they was, like a boss man, you could see their legs getting wobbly. And I'm thinking, I'm like, Tennis, come on, buddy, you guys got use that big line. Don't abandon the running game. And then, Phoenix went out for a little bit, and then he came back and he had that one little play. But other than that, the offense would just look, I'm gonna say it again, like I've been using this word, it looked lethargic. I'm like, that's not a South Carolina State offense. They got a good offense, but yesterday it's almost like they left it back in, was it Orangeburg, Mountain, where are they from? And Orangeburg, Orangeburg, like they left the offense. And I was like, wow. Once again, I was sitting there just shaking my head like, what's going on here? What's going on? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Let me ask this. When it was just we're talking to South Carolina State. The 2 things that troubled me, and I don't know, Coach, if you felt the same. For Eric Phoenix, the HBCU in some places, the HBCU Football Player of the Year, the MEAC Player of the Year, I think he will be. For him to have the kind of performance that he had, where he got benched in the late second quarter, and then end up coming back in the fourth quarter after the backup. What's the young man's name? Ryan Stubblefield. Stubblefield was pretty much ineffective.
Yeah,
in the late second quarter, third quarter. But for that, but also, Coach, those fourth down opportunities at South Carolina State, where they chose to go for it, they ran a very clunky, awkward fake, and then that's the only way I can describe it. It was clunky. Yeah. I don't know what the hell it was. And then almost from the same distance in the third quarter on fourth down, they didn't go for it. What do you make of that?
I think Tennis, when he was going for those fourth downs, I think he was still trying to show his team, hey, I got faith in you. You never want to give up on anybody, especially your team in that magnitude of a game. It's last game of the season. You put it all out there. You've heard me say, we said as coaches, leave it on the field. So I think that's what he was trying to do as a coach. Things wasn't playing very well, so you pull him and you say, hey, what's going on? It's a big game. It's the biggest game of his college career, of his coaching career. Of his playing career. So it probably overwhelmed him a little bit. And then Jackson State's defense wasn't being nice to him. They was in his grill all game. The next guy, he probably don't get a lot of reps in practice, so he was overwhelmed when he came in. Then they put Phoenix back in, and he didn't have a chance to settle down. He made that one big play, but that's just one play. You can't hang your hat on that one play because you was getting your butt kicked. But then again, you got to look at the OC. And as much as I hate to say this, I mean, Kenneth Berry calls on offense. It's like, Coach, what you doing? Coach, what you doing? Because I mean, those plays were being like, the guy next to me, he knows Drew. He's from some radio station in Atlanta, and he was like, OC about to get fired. And the guy next to him said, the head coach is the OC. And I'm like, oh, Kenneth calls on plays. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, so then I'm thinking, Coach, what you doing? You better than this. What you doing? But, like I say, Jackson State came to play. Let's give them credit. South Carolina State just wasn't ready to play, man. I mean, once again, I was just like, wow, okay, is this where we're at now? Because they were not ready to play. We see the game. We see the game. I mean, you take them 2 touchdowns back. That made the score look a little better. You keep them 2 touchdowns out there. It's like what, 42-7. They just wasn't ready to play, man. And you can't say he didn't get his team ready to play.
With 3 weeks, I don't think we've ever experienced that in this Celebration Bowl era where we have looked at the MEAC team after a 3-week break. Because all we've ever talked about in this series, or at least over the last 7, is the difference in the rest that the MEAC has versus the SWAC. And this year, for the first time, the SWAC had the least amount of rest than ever before.
Right. And when you think about it, Bryan, I mean, maybe because Jackson State was still in their regular rhythm and regular routine, as much as you can be having to travel on a Wednesday to get to a football game. But, they really did. They probably really did break what they normally would do. They played on Saturday, Bryan. They were probably in studying film on Sunday. Monday was probably their normal day off because that's how it is on most college campuses. Monday is your day off. Tuesday, they had a good practice in Jackson. Wednesday, they traveled, got to Atlanta, did the media stuff, had a practice somewhere in the midst of all that. Same thing Thursday and Friday, whereas South Carolina State, sit back eating popcorn, watching everything happen for those 2 weeks. When did they ramp back up to try to get back into that regular rhythm? That would be a question that I would want to know, because it did not work, Bryan. And even the previous game that the SWAC had won, what was that? The Grambling Central game in
10-9.
Yeah, it was a competitive ball game. It was a 10-9 ball game.
Yeah.
So this is the first time that the BAC has been blown out, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious that 3 weeks hurt because I was sitting there in a day like last year when you guys won it. You beat Howard, and I mean, that wasn't a slacking, was it? That was kind of a close.
26-24.
Yeah, something like that. So I mean, we were saying you think them.
We were trailing in the fourth quarter. We had to come back on Howard.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So obviously that time off hurt them. That time off hurt them, and that's all you can really say because they just didn't look the same yesterday. They didn't run the ball well. Phoenix didn't play well. I don't know if he's going to be the HBCU player of the year. I go with Irv Mulligan. That's me throwing it out there. But he's a player. He just didn't play very well yesterday. And unfortunately, you guys played the game. I played the game. We have those type of games, and they're very, very embarrassing at that stage of a magnitude when everybody's watching you. But he didn't play very well. I was wondering where the running game was. I'm like, Coach Berry, what a running game, brother? Come on, we the same. We O-line coaches. We call plays. Let's run this ball. But Jackson State had that in check. So, hey, still he had a great year though. He had a great season. Lost or not, he had a great season.
Hey, Bryan, before Travis comes on, I do want to talk about one of the elephants in the room.
Hold on, Drew. Let me make sure okay. Well, hold on. Let's recognize these 2 young men, the MVPs from this ball game. Jeremiah Williams right there. 3 tackles, 3 solo tackles. 2 of them tackled for loss, had a sack and a QB hurry. And I mean, his presence up front for a nose guard at that. Nose guard. And on the QB hurry, that's the one that bugged me out. So I'm like, dude's chasing down Eric Phoenix. Like, I mean, really?
Yeah.
That was amazing. That was pretty doggone impressive to see him. And then the offensive MVP was Jacobian Morgan, who was 15 of 21, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, along with a sack. Took a sack. Let me see. Did he have any rushing yards as well? I don't. Let me click here.
He's not really a runner.
Yeah,
he has the
10
ball
rushes. 10 rushes for 30 yards on the ground as well.
Now, what was Irv at in the voting for offensive MVP? I'm just curious about that.
I voted for him.
You did?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mulligan's numbers: 25 carries, 71 net yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, no receiving yards. But I get, I think if he had broken 100, I don't know, probably might have got it. This is one of the few games where he didn't break 100 yards. Matter of fact.
Yeah.
So,
and Bryan, as much as we talk about the defensive MVP for Jackson State, we cannot talk about that without talking about the defensive performance by South Carolina State's Aaron Smith.
yes,
Was that number 11? Was that number 11?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, that's number 11.
Let me put this into perspective for everybody who's on the other side. Once again, Bryan and I are in the room doing the stats. And we're isolated. It's just it's us 4, and then there are 2 ESPN people who are in the room doing stats. We're relaying information based on what we have on the official stats back to the ESPN truck. And what was it was it in the second quarter or third quarter, Bryan, where I just I asked you, I'm like, is anybody else out there besides number 11?
Well, Drew, as your defensive spotter, I called his number so many times that by the third quarter, I just kind of told you. I said, "Yo, you know who made that tackle?"
Who made the tackle?
I said, "Yo, you know who made that
tackle."
tackle."
My response was, "Anybody else in on it?"
Yeah,
exactly.
I voted for him for defensive MVP. He got my vote. I mean, he was sideline to sideline. He was playing.
And if there could have been an MVP on a losing team, Aaron Smith definitely deserved that award. And that's no offense to the performance of anybody on Jackson State. But the one most dominant individual in this game on both teams was Aaron Smith. Let's put this into perspective, everybody.
I agree with you.
The previous record for tackles in a Celebration Bowl was 11 tackles.
Total.
Aaron Smith had 12 solos. Now, let me say that once again. The previous record was 11. He had 12 solo tackles, had a total of 17 tackles, 12 solos, 5 assists. Talk about shattering a record. Mm-hmm. And while we're talking about it, let's give Gerard Smith also his props. Gerard Smith had double-digit tackles for South Carolina State also. Had 7 solos, 3 assists for a total of 10 tackles. Going back to Aaron Smith, he did have one tackle for loss. So, talk about a dominating performance. I know 2 players who left it all out on the field who were there from Bulldog Nation.
Yeah, and again, the head scratching number outside of that again was the number of guys from South Carolina State that cramps or whatever else it was that were, between the official timeouts, which I think at one point you had 5 or 6 of them due to injuries. It was just it was a very unusual for the top 2 teams. Again, this wasn't a South Carolina State team that.
This wasn't a 6-5 South Carolina State.
Yeah, this wasn't a 6-5, 7-5 South. This was a team that, look, I'd admit they were my number 1 team going in. They were the number 2 or number 1 in most people's rankings or polls, and they got ousted, dominated.
They got dismantled.
Yeah. So, hey, look. Why are we in this? Later, I'm gonna tell you why, Jeffrey. This is something a wise radio guest told me. While we are saluting the champions, the more interesting story is always in the losing locker room, and we'll talk about that more later in the show. But that's all I'm gonna say for now. That's why.
And a good performance is a good performance. Once again, I still have to talk about Smith. A couple other records that were set in this game, Brian. And I know we're getting ready to get to Travis in just a moment. Time of possession, Jackson State with the 37 minutes, I believe, is a time of possession record. They tied the record for the largest margin of victory in the Celebration Bowl. Ironically, they're on both sides of that record. And South Carolina State is on both sides of that record. So, and there was one other record. And I don't know if Travis has the opportunity to look this up. I'm really curious about the 73 total offensive plays and where that sits at. Because they ran 20 more plays than South Carolina State. I did not have a chance to look that up to see if that was a record for a number of plays ran in a Celebration Bowl by one team. That one also may be a record.
Celebration Bowl record.
Hey, real quickly, what was the time you said they ran 20 more plays? What was the time of possession?
37 minutes. 37 to 23. 37 to 23.
23, 33.
It's basically 3/4 to 1.
Yeah.
That's over
That's
3/4. Almost 3/4.
Almost 3/4. Yeah, 2.5 quarters, right? 2.5. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
2.5 to 1.5.
We all knew they had something to prove. You know, we know that TC had a chip on his shoulder. He wanted to get off. I think he wanted to close the door to the previous guy. I won't say his name no more, to the previous guy to say, hey, this is my team now. And there's no doubt, it's his team now. It's his team now, no doubt.
Right. You won't hear me. You won't hear me speak about he who shall not be named. That's how I refer him, because this is the TC
the
Taylor
coach formerly
era.
known as
the coach formerly known as the Jackson State head ball coach.
Right. Formerly number 21 head coach in Jackson State history. But no, TC Taylor has done something that I tweeted this out, has done something that hasn't been done in this millennium, which is won a postseason game, and it's the first time since 1971 after I think a 14 game postseason losing streak in postseason games since the 1971 Azalea Bowl. That was the last time Jackson State won a postseason football game. 14 consecutive losses.
Right.
TC, they dominated.
I wasn't born in 71.
Both Peyton brothers were on Jackson State's campus.
Yes.
Time that they won.
Who was it? You said Walter was a freshman back in 71, right?
Yes.
Somebody said that?
Yes. I think Eddie was 2 years ahead of him, if I remember correctly.
All right. Coach, I'm going to give you any final thoughts, any final words as we close out this segment, and then we're going to take a break and then bring in Travis.
I want to say this real quickly. I want to say shout out to Zach, a.k.a. Blue. Had a good conversation with him, 2 or 3 conversations. Good dude. I want to say this, like what Memphis told Elvis. Thank you for hanging out with our people, brother. Hey, he's solid. He really, really is. Sometimes you hear people say something about him, but when I sat down with him and looked him in his eyes, he's with us. He's with us. I want to say Jamie Walker. Every time I call, he returns my calls. Every time I text, he texts. I had a good conversation with him. Also with BJ. Anytime I call BJ or text him, he'll respond back. I got to meet those guys yesterday. I was looking forward to meeting the HBC nightly crew, but I guess they was off doing their own thing. But shout out to them. They do a good job with the things. Once again, I'm going to keep you guys updated, posted. I don't have anything right now, but I do got some leads. And, that's better than what we had last year. I think last year he wants to coach over here. Now I think people know who I am and what I actually can do. So I got some leads. I'm going to follow up. I'm going to keep you guys posted. And next time you see me, hopefully we are raising that glass high. But everything I get is because of you two and the BCSN. I appreciate you guys for everything you did for me. And anytime you need me, you know how to call me, and I'll stop. Even if I'm in some action, I'm gonna look out for my guys now. Appreciate everything you guys do. Have a good rest of the show.
Hey, Coach, again, thank you for another great year. Thank you for just all the insight, the commentary, the thoughts, and man, we really hope and pray that this opportunity comes through. And so we'll talk again once.
Yes,
once we have an announcement and find out what path God puts you on and what school and all that, we'll talk again. But you guys make sure to hit up Coach Farasi on X. Let him know you appreciate everything, all of his work during the past year, and look for him possibly at your school soon.
Hey, once again, appreciate both of you. You guys stay strong now. Reach out to me. I'll be in touch.
Yes, indeed. All right, let's take a quick break. Come back. Travis Jerome coming up. We'll get the insider's view on the last 24, 48 hours with the HBCU national champions. Now let's see what I did there. I said the. See, y'all think I don't care. You don't think I love. I do love y'all. It's all swag. Man, we swag.
Passing the torch.
We swag. Let's go, baby. We swag. Let's go. This is Brian Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportsWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportsWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Morehouse College and Tuskegee University men's basketball teams were selected to compete in the 2025 NBA HBCU Classic presented by AT&T. The fourth annual NBA HBCU Classic will be played in the Bay Area as part of NBA All-Star 2025 and will once again celebrate the rich traditions, on-court athleticism, and commitment to excellence of the HBCU community. For tickets, visit nba.com/all-star.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and A.D. I want to give a shout out to everybody jumping in the chats. Appreciate you guys for being somewhat civil in the chats. Congratulations again to all our Jackson State family and friends who have come in to gloat. Stick your chests out. Be proud. That's right. Y'all won the title. Y'all dominated. Dominant performance by the HBCU national champions. So, yeah, y'all, we're going to celebrate y'all. We're going to celebrate y'all. Salute the champs. Make sure to hit the thumbs up and the like button. Share the show however you're watching us and wherever you're watching us from. Thank you to everybody for all of your support of the Black College Sports Network. All right, let's get ready to bring in friend of the program, the Associate Athletic Director for Public Relations and Sports Media at Jackson State University, the HBCU, the Celebration Bowl, the SWAC champions of Jackson State University. How's that sound, Travis? The trifecta there. Congratulations.
I appreciate that, Brian. Appreciate that, AD. You know, that's why I had to change my name for the show tonight because that's what we referred to ourselves as we got on the plane last night. And we had to correct people that are saying, I feel like a champ. It's not, you don't feel like a champ, you're a national champion. That's what you're supposed to feel like.
Hey, exactly. I'm gonna recognize y'all as champs. You know that. Hey, y'all, that's what y'all are. That's what y'all are. Definitely.
Hey, but first and foremost, I need your address because there is a promise that you got to uphold, and I will be sending you something. And I will fully expect it. I will make sure you have to sign for it. So when you get it, you'll have to wear it on the next show. There are promises that have to be upheld for thee I love. We don't forget anything.
Oh no, that is true. Y'all keep receipts like none other, boy. I tell you what, if no fan base keeps receipts like Jackson State folks. I saw it on social media last night for sure.
Hey, it is what it is. You know, we kept them all year. We had them up everywhere, and it was just TC said it early in the year when we played Texas Southern. We hear the noise. We hear it. We don't necessarily pay attention to it, but we hear it, and there are certain things we pull from each thing that we hear that become chips on shoulders.
Hey Travis, I'm not stupid enough to make a bet like Brian, but I'll take a shirt too, man.
Well, if we'd have had them printed up,
I would gladly wear one on multiple podcasts.
Well, I almost gave him one, AD. I had it in my bag when I got to the press box. It said I played for TC. I was going to let him wear it just to wear it for the game yesterday, but I didn't know how well that would go over being that he was working in the press box.
No, let me tell you the ironic story about that, Travis. So Brian comes upstairs with his orange and green FAMU jacket on.
Oh, don't worry, I saw.
And you know who one Miss Michelle Jinks, one of the best in the business, especially when it comes to running these type of events. Shout out to Michelle Jinks. Said reminding him politely that he had to take that off in the capacity that he was working on yesterday.
Brian walks. I thought I was neutral, Travis. I was neutral. My team wasn't there. That team wasn't there.
I would have let you slide with it because obviously I know what happened back in October, so I would have let you slip. You could have slipped by with it with me. I was fine at that point.
I came prepared though. I had a shirt on underneath. I just wanted to wear it in the building because I wanted, for those last couple.
It was
hours,
chilly, Brian. Come on, just say it was
cold.
Chilly.
Yes, it was.
It was a little chilly. It was a little chilly in the stadium too.
It was cold.
It was a little chilly in the stadium. I'll give you credit for that. I will. I'll give you credit.
Thank you. And just 300 something days ago, I felt like it was home. It felt home to us. I mean, so it was just natural. It was a good fit.
But we kicked. Hold on, AD. Hold on. We kicked you out of your house in October, so you shouldn't have even had to worry about that feeling like home.
But until that clock hit 000,
we went to your house as visitors. First off, y'all were still that in-house.
No, hold on. You just referred to being back there as being home. We kicked you out of that home in October.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay.
Travis, until that clock hit 000, we were still the defending national champions. Although we had no longer had a chance to defend it, we still had the trophy. So
by name only, because when the clock started at 15, it was already done. We spoke that into existence. No, and I don't mean that jokingly like that. It was spoken into existence at SWAC Media Day, and it was spoken into existence 2 months prior to that with our coaching staff and our players. So that's how confident we were walking in that it was going to take something different for us not to walk out with it.
Okay, let me go back to a second, right? Let's go back to SWAC Media Day because look, even see, this is how I know you've been at Jackson State for already. It's already ingrained in the blood. This is how I know because I don't think you used to do this at other institutions. But anyway, the whole tweet where you wanted to make sure you hold on. Let me see if I got that. Hold on, I keep receipts too. Let me see if I still have it. I think I'm
talking about which one are you talking about?
Huh?
You talking about where I put the two graphics side by side?
Yes. Hold on.
Oh, yeah,
I have the graphic from the predicted order of finish, right? So look, the predicted order of finish. Come on, we look this right here. We know, look, okay. We understand your peers got it wrong. Big time did they get it wrong. Okay, they got it wrong. You weren't going to let them forget that, though.
Well, no, because at the end of the day, that became a driving point for the team the whole year. That was really, whether it was peers, whether it was media, whether it was anything. When our guys saw that and the entire building saw that, it became something that was a drive.
Did you? I mean, look, I personally thought 3 was low. I'll be honest. I thought 3 was low. I was shocked to see y'all at 3. But in talking to your peers at the time, what was their reasoning? And remember, okay, so people, just to be behind the curtain for everybody, if you don't know by now, it's the SIDs, people who sit in positions that Travis sits in, as well as coaches who are the electorate of 24 voters that select these preseason polls. So when you talk to
people, you cannot vote for yourself, apparently.
Allegedly. I still maintain somebody. I'd like to know who voted for Valley last year. I'm still saying somebody voted for Valley last year, and you can't convince me it wasn't the Valley SID or coach. But anyway, what did they say about this season, Travis, when they explained why they voted Jackson State third?
We really didn't ask, to be honest with you, because I'm trying to think how I can put this, because I don't want people to take it the wrong way. Over time, we have come to realize some people just vote to vote. Some people don't understand the way the system works, and they just start clicking buttons. And when you start clicking buttons, it puts them in order at the bottom of the screen. If you're not paying attention to how you click them, that's the order you put them in. Now, in the poll, you can vote for yourself. But I will tell you, Jackson State did not get a vote from either one of the people that voted for Jackson State. We were picked to finish exactly where we wanted to be picked to finish, because we wanted people to sleep on Jackson State. We wanted people to not understand what we really had coming in, because the class that we had coming in compared to what we had returning, TC was already talking about building. This team was built for December back in the summer. They never publicly said it until media day. But for us to be picked to finish third, and I will tell you this because I put it in the notes, and I told him I put it in the notes near the end of the year. He said at media day, when we were walking into the room, he asked me where we were picked. And I told him, I said, we were picked to finish third in the East. His comment to me, and I quote it, "Good, that's exactly where I want us to be picked." And it became a driving force. Like, our players felt disrespected at the time because they felt they were better than the other teams in the division. And granted, Florida A&M was a defending national champion. Now, in my mind, until you get beat, you should always be ranked at the top in the preseason, in my mind. And so when Alabama State came out, we knew Alabama State was picked to finish first in the division. It was one player. And he could have swayed the whole division if he stayed healthy. Nobody will ever know that. Right. But for us to be picked to finish third, I mean, hey, we get it. We know how the voting goes. It's the same thing with the all-conference teams, preseason, postseason. The voting is the same way. Now, postseason, preseason, all-conference teams, you can't vote for yourself. You can't vote for any players, any coaches off of your program. So you'll have some votes swayed here or there. You'll have some things because like for us, we have to figure out, okay, we know our defensive tackles are two of the best in the conference, but we can't vote for them. So if we can't vote for them, how far does that slide them down?
Travis, can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah.
And, be in a similar role that you have, there's this devil that gets in my mind, good Drew, bad Drew, when it comes to voting. If I know my guy should be 1 or 2, okay, in whatever position. And I really know who that other person should be. If my guy is 1, I know who. Most of the time we know who the number 2 person is. Do I do honest and vote for number 2, knowing that that may be the swing vote that gets them over my guy, or do I vote for this guy over here who has no chance and waste my vote over here, hoping that everybody else votes for my guy? Well, I know what I have to deal with every week or every season when I have to do these votes, and I have to make these conscious decisions. I don't understand it, Travis. Talk to us, man.
All right. So for everybody in the chat, listen very carefully because I don't want anybody going back saying I said something different than what I'm about to tell you. Because I know how social media works, and I'm going to be real honest because I have voted in national awards and national polls. I vote based on strictly numbers and the way I vote. And this is strictly the way I vote. I know our coaches vote based on, they start with really who we play, but they also look at who we don't play compared to who that is. The way I do it is I look at numbers and I will generally, you can pull the stats and you can tab them over by tabs. So what I generally do is I tab, if it's a defensive back, I go interceptions first, then I go pass breakups, and I just make a list to the side, but then I go back and I see who they played. If you got 6 interceptions, and this is not a knock on anybody, but 4 of your interceptions, you had 2 against Virginia Lynchburg, 1 against Valley, and 1 against somebody else. It's hard for me to weigh those 4 interceptions against somebody who has 3 and they're all in conference play and they're against, and I'll use an example, A&M, Alabama State, and Southern. If you got 3 interceptions against those 3 teams, those to me outweigh the 6 that you may have had because 4 of those came against teams that really shouldn't be, and I don't say that because it's Valley, but they shouldn't be on the schedule. But if you're playing a Virginia Lynchburg, those numbers go out the window. If you're playing an NAIA school like an Arkansas Baptist, those numbers go out the window for me. I don't weigh those numbers. I throw the Division I games like against Arkansas or against an Auburn. I throw those out the window because you already know the numbers aren't going to be there.
Unless you have that kind of performance.
Unless you have that kind of game. So for me, I base it genuinely on what they do because at the end of the day, it hurts the student athletes. Now, granted, I will say if you have a player that's on your team that you think should be there, you just rotate the next guy up. Like for Jeremiah and True, and I'll use those, and I say our defensive tackles. Jeremiah is the 15th ranked defensive lineman in all of FBS and FCS football. If you look at Pro Football Focus, his grade didn't make either team. True Thompson was top 40 in both levels, didn't make either team. So for me, it's hard to fathom that, knowing that I can't vote for him. Because if I could vote for our own guys, I would have voted those 2, my 1 and 2 in the league, because they're the highest graded players. A lot of it just comes to your homework and not waiting until the last minute. We all have deadlines. We get normally 3 to 5 days to vote. It shouldn't take you to the 5th day to vote, and then you're scrambling to put your votes in. And I think that's where we just have to be better as a conference as far as getting the votes done, is so we can make sure the right players are honored. And that's not a knock on anybody that made the all-conference team. Congratulations to everybody that made it. But just know that those all-conference teams, you will then have all-American teams that will look at those all-conference teams, and that's who they place on the all-American teams. So if FAM has a player that didn't make all-conference that you think should be an all-American, he's not going to be. We got players that we think should be an all-American, they're not going to be, because they look at those all-conference teams, and that's where they pull their nominations for all-American from. And it hurts the kids, and I say kids because it hurts the kids at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And just before I get Brian, that what you said, Travis, that's not just for your conference, that's for everybody in our profession. I wish they would take the due diligence that you do when you go through and make those votes, because I know I try to every time I go through with those votes, because I know how important it is and how important those honors are for our student athletes.
Hey, Brian, can I answer this question that's in chat real quick because they asked about PFF?
Yeah. I'm glad, because I was curious about that as well, and I know a lot of people are.
Yeah. PFF is Pro Football Focus. It is graded by NFL scouts. Every player is, and they break it down. Like if you're a defensive lineman, you get graded on your pass rush, you get graded on your run defense, and it's not just a one-year thing. You're graded every year you're in college, so you can see either the way you improve every year or you decline every year, but you get graded, and those grades are based on what NFL players are graded on. So to me, that outweighs anything that you can do. You can have 110 tackles, but again, if you don't grade very well, how reliable are those 110 tackles, because AD can tell you this. The stats are based solely on who the spotters are. And if the spotters call out the wrong number, that person gets credit for a tackle. If he calls out the wrong number on Sunday, that. So to me, Pro Football Focus is one of the biggest things you can look at to vote and use as an algorithm. Now you have to pay for it. There's a monthly fee for it. If you're lucky, your football staff has it, and you can use their login to look. But it's well worth it. I wouldn't say it was well worth it for just a regular person that just wants to see how their guys are. Find somebody that has it and ask them.
The conference doesn't do anything to help support the programs or your position in terms of access to PFF. Is there a conference subscription or anything?
No,
like
there's not, and you won't find one across the country. It's up to each team, and each program uses it so they know where their guys are. So when you have the end of year meetings, if a guy comes in there and tells you, and I'll use an Alabama or Auburn, for example. If you have a guy that comes in there and tells you, hey, I want to go, I'm going to coach, I'm going to leave, I'm going to go take my chances and get drafted, they can honestly tell them, you probably won't. You're going to be either a 7th round pick or a free agent, because they can use that to tell them. And it helps, because it helps either that kid go to another school or that kid stay for a year and they can improve, and then their draft stock will improve.
Yeah. So I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess, Travis, that I feel like, because we've seen enough in the SWAC these days, I'm going to guess most don't utilize the PFF or at the degree that we'd like to see it. That's what led me to asking about the conference thing, because it'd be great. Here's another thing about the voting, and we talked about this, obviously, and even when it comes to, like the bowl game, the bowl games or classics, usually they ask media to select, the votes. Do you think it's time for the SWAC, in terms of their preseason and postseason, do you think it's time for the SWAC to move into including media in terms of this preseason and postseason selection of players?
This is where I'm going to stay in my lane and say I will do whatever the conference tells me to do, because there are too many people on here watching right now for my words to be
nobody's watching us, Travis.
For me to be misconstrued and me get a call either tonight or in the morning and be like, what were you thinking? No, I'll leave that up to the conference. The way the conference is set up, everything passes through a chain of command. The football coaches have to bring something forward. With the SIDs can bring something to the coaches, whether the coaches want to use it or not, they can, but the coaches have to push it up the chain to the ADs, SWAs for it to get approved. So regardless, if it doesn't come from the coaches, it really is not going to make a difference in what happens. So just know that. But I will say this, and then I will defend the conference office on this. The conference office takes a lot of heat when all this stuff comes out, because it's always the SWAC does this. It's not the conference office, folks. All they do is they tally the votes and they put it up. Our conference office does a great staff, and they do good with the staff they have. They do great work. And they take some unnecessary heat, and they catch a bunch of strays, so to speak, because people feel like they're the ones that do the teams. They don't. So kudos to our conference staff on what they do. I don't think people really understand how hard they work at what they do. It's up to us as conference, SIDs and conference coaches to do the right thing and to defend the conference, because it always gives the conference a black eye if you have people that are not on the team that should be and people on the team that shouldn't be. And it's not just football, it's every sport.
No, I agree. Yeah, definitely the conference catches strays, but I think how challenging is it with the rosters to get that information available in the preseason? Because I'll speak for my beloved school. There are players that are still coming in even after the media days, for example, and just trying to get all that together. What kind of challenges does this new world of the transfer portal make for your job and your team?
It makes it tough, but before we start, I got a text. I just need to say this out loud. Chuck, I don't ever forget anything. So he was talking about the promises, Bryan. But it's challenging because at the FCS level, the way the FCS works, especially during summertime, you can get a transfer in right before media day.
Right.
And so the rosters are never going to be set at our level. And it doesn't matter if it's a North Dakota State, if it's a South Dakota State, it's a Mississippi Valley, it's a Tennessee State, it's Idaho, it doesn't matter. The rosters will never be set at FCS, especially now with the scholarship limits and the roster limitations at the FBS level. Go look at the transfer portal. There's over probably 7,000 now in the portal.
Yeah.
And so I have a luxury where I'm at that our roster is pretty much set every year because they will finish up the recruiting. They'll get a couple signees late, like we got Shamar Hawkins late. So he wasn't on the media day. He wasn't available for media day. But understand, too, that if you have guys in summer school that they still have to go through certification with compliance and they have to pass classes, so they may not show up on a roster. What we try to do on ours, and I'll use Jackson State for an example. When we go to play our spring game, we will have our most up-to-date roster for spring bowl. So the guys that are gone will be gone. The guys that are here will be here. The guys that we signed will be hidden. So once they get on campus and they get a jersey number, or whether they don't get a jersey number, as long as they're on campus, we'll start unhiding them. But we will cap it off at the guys that we know will dress. And the guys that will not dress, that will be walk-ons, they won't be on that roster initially. Now, they make an appearance later in the year like an Eric Hughes did for us this year, and we had to rotate him up on a roster. But it's tough. And I will say that at the FCS level, it is going to be really, really tough. And I will say even at the FBS level until probably the end of May and into June, it will be tough at the FBS level too, because you'll have guys transferring after the spring semester of school if they know they're not going to play.
Right.
And that's just the world we live in now. And that's just going to be what college athletics is. And so we just have to figure out and go with it. The best case scenario is you just have to rely on those institutions to have whatever they can have readily available. And I will go ahead and say it, and I'll put myself out on a limb. If you want to know what Jackson State's going to have, it'll be up. I mean, we're not going to hide. We didn't hide this summer, and I'd only been there for 3 months. We already had it up.
Right. What's it been like working with Coach TC Taylor? Give us something behind the scenes that what it's been like this past week. I mean, I love how accessible he is. I love his openness and candor. I see why the Jackson State faithful love. I mean, we've been there. We know what it's like to have a beloved head coach. So I see it. What's it like for you working with him and getting him into the places and spaces to continue to promote the brand in the program?
Well, first and foremost, I put out a tweet last night while we were still at the stadium, thanking Ashley Robinson and Elise Wells-Kilbert for making that phone call to me in February and asking me to come to Jackson State, asking me if I'd be willing to come to Jackson State. And then the next sentence out of my mouth in that was, I wanted to thank TC Taylor and Coach O for welcoming me with open arms to be able and trust me to tell their story of this year and the previous year, because it needed to be told. It's easy. I mean, it truly is. We met my first 2 weeks I was there. We met. TC's words to me were, "Hey, I'm glad you're here. I just need you to do me a favor. I want to make my players available. I just want you to protect our players in our program." Plain and simple. So yeah, I made some people mad along the way because I cut access or we didn't allow access to certain things. But being around him, everybody gets to see the TC Taylor that coaches. Man, the TC Taylor behind the scenes in the Walter Payton Center is unbelievable. I will say this: our Monday schedule, to tell you how easy it is to work with him. Most coaches will be available all week. We set aside Mondays to do everything. Monday he has his weekly press conference at 11:30 with the local media in person. Then he did a swag call at 11:55. And then at 12:30 every Monday, it was either ESPN or HBCU Go, whichever platform had the game. He did his talent call, him and Coach Quinn, for an hour. But then we had some periodic things, but there were some times in there where we just sat in the office and we just laughed. I mean, there were certain things he would answer a question, and I would have to put my head in a pillow because I was laughing hard, and it didn't. Most people will think it takes a long time to get to know somebody, and to work with somebody, and this is the first time I've worked with him as a head coach, but it was really easy. He's readily available, except today and the next few days, because he's going off the grid because he's got to get ready for Christmas. If you were in the press conference, you heard it. He's got to climb up in the attic and get everything out because he hasn't got anything out for Christmas yet because it's been football season. And then he's going to go, and then he's going to go hunting. And if you watched the game, you saw the buck he killed. They told the story about it. He likes to hunt. He's a good old country boy coaching football that played at Jackson State. And I wouldn't trade it. I've worked with some great coaches in the past. Kane Womack, that was at South Alabama, now is at Alabama as a DC. A great coach, great human being. TC's the same way. He cares about you. He cares about you and your family. He cares about his program. He cares about Jackson State. And when you're a grown man, to have somebody who's not a relative, that two grown men can say love you or I love you after things are over, that was the exchange we had after the game. And it's felt with his players, it's felt with his coaches, it's felt with the entire support staff. I mean, they could have very easily said, hey, you only need to come over here on Mondays and we'll see you on Saturday. But I'm welcome in the building anytime. My office isn't over there. I can walk in, and he looks at me when I walk in. He goes, do we have anything? I'm like, no, I'm just over here to get with Austin, because Austin works so well with the creative side that we get together on a lot of different things, and we want to make sure we're all on the same page. And then I meet with Kai as DFO, but he's a good human. He's a great human being and a great football coach. I'll say that.
Hey, Travis, a lot of people don't know, for the BXWAC Challenge and the Celebration Bowl, for years, you have been one of those people, kind of like me, who've worked behind the scenes at this event. This year, you were on the other side. Obviously, we all, when we do events like this, we all want to be on the side that you were on. But how different was it for you this year, coming back to the Benz, being on the side of an institution that was playing in the Cricket Celebration Bowl versus some of the other roles that you have done there at the BXWAC Challenge and the Cricket Celebration Bowl?
When you're prepared and your coaches have put it in everybody's head that this team was built for December, we had already started building things and getting things ready. We had already created folders, already had accounts. So when Michelle sent an email out 2 weeks before the championship game, I was in Cincinnati with men's basketball. We're getting ready to play Xavier. She sent us an email at 10:45, I think. And I checked it because I just happened to be up at 11:30, and I just hit share on my box account and sent her 90% of what she asked me for.
From experience.
Yeah, and it just, because when you know what you're playing for and you know you have a chance, you have to be ready for it. Because even if we didn't win our division based on where we were in the rankings and the record, we were going to be in the playoffs. We would have been one of the 16 teams in the FCS playoffs. So you have to be ready for it. But this week was easy for me on this side of it because everything is done. You don't have to answer 1,000 questions. You just have to navigate people through, and get to where you're supposed to get and get all the obligations out of the way. Like we all knew it was coming. I'd met with TC about it. He knew what was coming already. The players, I just had to tell them what we had to do. Now the players were getting tired of all the stuff because we were locking in on late Thursday, early Friday, and we always took them where their availability ended on Wednesday night at 5:00. Well, they had to be available on Thursday. They had to be available on Friday. So for everybody that's watching or listening, AD, you got to see this firsthand. Bryan, you didn't. I pulled the card out of my pocket at Radio Row on Friday because I knew we wanted to get in our regular Friday routine. So Michelle asked us for 4 to 6 players, or like 3 to 4 players and a coach. So AD, 9 people probably in there when we came in there, radio and podcast folks.
I don't know. He had multiple players. Travis's words to me, because I don't know if I was one of the first people, but I remember when I walked up to you when he was in there, he's like, I brought all these players in so we get them in, get them out, and let everybody get their interviews because we got a football game to go win tomorrow. That's exactly what he said.
I had 8 players and 2 coaches in the room. We worked the room, and I had it strategically planned who I was going to get to where first so I could get them out of the room faster. Like Irv was one of the first people that went in. Irv sat down with y'all first. He did a couple of other ones. He sat down with Zach with FCS football. And then I looked at him and said, just walk out the door. You're good. And then the next one was, who else did I have? I had Robert McDaniel was in there. I did the same thing with Rob, which obviously you know why I had them 2 go out of the room, because you saw the performance on Saturday. And then we just periodically started pulling people out. And then after TC did one with Kyle Mosley, he didn't do all of them like he did media day. I looked at him, and it was 12:45. He had been in there for an hour. I looked at Trooper Smith, and I said, get him. Take him to the room. Got him, took him out. So Coach O finished up his circuit. He left, and then the players just periodically started leaving. And so what we did, me and Austin filled in. We filled in on some places and sat down and just talked, because we've been around the program long enough. And we kind of shifted the focus. But our main focus on Friday at 1 o'clock became, let's get them in regular routine, because we have a football game to play the next day. And the game is earlier than we normally play. So we need to make sure we keep everything as much on routine as we can. And between 12 and 5 was family time. So those families that were there, those kids that were in the room, those guys that were in the room, we wanted them to be able to go see their families so they could lock in and be ready to go. So we did. And 1:15, we were done. We made the rounds. We got our guys as many tables. Every table had somebody from Jackson State, and they had multiple people from Jackson State. But, at the end of the day, we knew what we were playing for. And we had said going into the week, the main thing is the main thing. We need to keep it the main thing.
For those who don't know, and those of us in media know, but Travis had at SWAC Media Day made sure Jackson State was the one institution that touched every, and when I say every, y'all, every media outlet that was at SWAC Media Day. And then once again here at the press conference or media day for the Cricket Celebration Bowl, he did the same thing, made sure every media outlet was touched by somebody from Jackson State. That takes planning, that takes organization, and that takes a commitment. And for somebody who does this for a living, I respect the hell out of it. And, Travis don't want to hear me there, but I try to take a little bit from you every time I see you do something, or I'm around you and I'm watching you do something. And Travis, though, hell, I didn't hit him up with, I need an idea on this. Or can you send me the language on how you write this? And I shoot him an email, and he'll shoot it back to me with it. Sometimes within a few minutes, sometimes a day later, just depending on where he's at. But he's always been responsive.
That's what I'm here for. I mean, AD, I'm in year 21 in athletics, and realistically, this is year 19 in communications. I'm not going to do this the rest of my life. I know that, and I know at some point that I'm going to move on, whether it's by my choosing or the Lord's choosing, and somebody's got to be ready to step in my shoes and do it. And my hope is that I've made enough of an impact that I can leave stuff for other people to use. And again, it just, you represent the institution you work for, and you represent yourself, and you have a reputation that you need to uphold when it comes to that stuff. And that's what it's all about. And the biggest thing you got to do when you do that is you got to talk to your head coach. If you don't talk to your head coach and you don't go to practice, you have no idea what they want, how they want it, and how they want to do it. And I did say, I did have TC tell me one year, because ESPN had asked him for something, and I didn't ask him. I just made the decision for him and told him the answer to the question. And then I told him like 3 days later, and he laughed and he goes, "You know me too well. They don't." And I said, that's what I'm supposed to do. You have to know your head coach, and it's not always about the sport that they're coaching or the sport you're working. Sometimes it's about family. Hey, how's your wife? How are the kids? It's not always about, the nuts and bolts like Mo Williams with basketball. I mean, I saw his kids when he was in Montgomery. So we talk about the kids from the time of Montgomery to where they are now. And the same thing with Trey Johnson. You build relationships. And that's why. And to go back, Brian, to your question about what it's like working for TC, and I told you this is the first time I really worked with him. When I came over last year with Alabama State, he was coming up the tunnel. I was going down the tunnel because I was just going out because we were early. He's coming up the tunnel because they just done Tiger Walk. Well, Austin was behind him with a camera. We dapped each other up and gave each other a hug, and I whispered in his ear at that point, I said, do you know how much crap you're getting me in right now because I'm sitting here hugging you on camera and I know Austin's going to put this out? Well, lo and behold, a year later, less than a year later, I don't really care because this is where I want to be. And it's about that relationship but that shows you the relationship I had before I got here, even with Ashley, even with Mo, even with Omar with baseball, Kevin Montgomery with softball. You have to have relationships. And it's not just your coaches. It's coaches from other schools. It's ADs from other schools. Chris Robinson from Pine Bluff was on the elevator. We spoke and we asked how each other was doing, about families and everything else. Paul Bryant from A&M. They don't have to talk to me, but because we talk all the time and when we see each other, it's personal, we talk. And that's what I want people to understand. It's not always about doing the job and I got to be the best at what I do. I got to work hard at what I do. No, it's about relationships and it's about knowing what you do.
Right. Great point. Great point. My last question, just kind of as I've enjoyed watching the I'm one of them people, Travis, which is I think it's why I got into sports. Like after a championship, no matter what the sport is, and this goes back to when I was I'm telling you where this started for me. This started with one shining moment back in the NCAA tournament, back in the in the 80s when my beloved Indiana Hoosiers won the title, the one shining moment thing. And I stayed up. I used to stay up and I watched the postseason stuff. You know, I flipped after the championship game. I watched the celebrations, the media coverage for like the next 24 hours. So of course, even with y'all, with Jackson, I did. I stayed up. I went on a few shows. You know, I even supported some people who, you know, they swear I hate them, but whatever. I watch all the coverage. Because I love that aspect of winning the championship. Like when you win, and because I'm a media person and I love the sports, I love seeing it. So my question goes to like, I remember we had this conversation about people on the sidelines. I remember we had this the last time we had you on. And I watched, and there was a moment when I'm watching, and I was like, damn, okay, they're covering this. How many people are covering this experience? You know, I'm seeing guys watching or following, which, by the way, great behind the scenes access. I'm watching the coaches and players walk from the tunnel to the field, and I'm getting excited. I'm like, damn, you know, I'm getting all kinds of great ideas in my head for next year anyway, by the way. But I'm watching all this. So my question, Travis, I mean, like, what challenges did you have or do you take into consideration when allowing this on-field, behind-the-scenes access to the Jackson State program?
Well, a lot of it is easy because we have Austin Robinson, who does our football creative, who has a staff full of students. The hardest part about that part is who do we bring, because we can't credential everybody. And then it's about, on that end, it's about who is going to be media so we can move them around on the field and who's going to be team because they have to stay in the box. But when it comes to access, as far as following them around, being in the locker room, I've already gotten a couple phone calls asking me why our pregame speech wasn't aired on ABC. It was simple. TC, the first time TC let it happen last year, we lost. And so we haven't done it since. And so that was easy to say no. And granted, you have to be careful pregame speeches because you just never know what's going to be said. And some coaches make it a lot of work, and then they try to change themselves because they're mic'd up or there's a camera in there. Now, our folks have access. They'll get the pregame speech, like for our stuff that goes out on our web and our social. They grab it all. We have unbelievable footage of things from all year, but to allow the access and to choose, it's not really picking and choosing. It's who was going to help us the most and who was going to harm us the most if we allow you in and give you access. I get that everybody has a job to do and they're trying to do it to the best of their ability, but at the end of the day, so do I. And mine is harder because I have to protect the brand, and protecting the brand when there's 150 media folks. If I tell one person no, that's just one person. There's still 149 other people that I have to protect the brand from because I don't know what's going to be said. Like there's a story that came out and the way it was portrayed to us was, I want to talk because we want to talk about the last Celebration Bowl experience. Well, the story came out. Congratulations to Travis Hunter, by the way. Came out about Travis Hunter and Dion coming in. Well, that wasn't how it was presented. And that's how the story came out. So now we're trying to figure out, okay, do we just kind of let it fly, let it go? What do we want to, do we want to check on Eric and make sure he's cool with the story? Because now we can tell his story based off of that story. Because Eric Simmons is the only person he talked to because we didn't make anybody else available. And then it becomes, that's where you have to be really careful, because there are some media that will say, I want to talk to somebody about this, but they change it once they get around. And my assistant, Kendall Mans, gave me a heads up and told me what it was like, because when we have somebody interviewing, we have somebody standing there with the student athletes or with the coaches. So if a question gets asked that we don't need to answer, we just say, hey, next question, we're not going to address that right now. But it really takes time, and for people that think that our job is easy, it's really not. We have to prepare just as much as the coaches do, because we have to figure out who's coming to the games. We have to line people up for interviews. We have to get their schedules. We have to make sure we're not impeding on film time. There are certain outlets that have been given more access than others this year. For instance, Trey Boston with HBCU Go came into the piece with Irv and got it behind the scenes and broke film down with Irv before we got ready to play Valley, I think. I think it was the Valley game that they had. And then he had access this weekend because he had built that trust with me that, he said, hey, I want to talk to Coach and Irv. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. We'll go ahead and do it. But let's do it before we leave the stadium so we can try to get back on schedule. There are times where you have to build that trust with members of the media to allow access. Like, for instance, if I didn't have a relationship with the both of you, I probably wouldn't come on here and tell what I say, because I know there's a relationship and I know where I can and where I can't go and what I can and can't say. But it's tough. I mean, it really is. I mean, you really have to sit back and look, and you're always going to have somebody you make mad that's going to shoot off an email. And this is at every organization. You're going to have somebody that's going to shoot off an email to your AD or your assistant AD, your associate AD, and they're going to call you or they're going to email you and say, what happened? And I'm like, it was my decision. And I will be really honest. My decisions at Jackson State are my decisions, and they're respected and they're supported. And that's why I love being where I'm at. That's why I love doing what I do. And obviously you can see the picture behind me is even better now. So.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And that picture.
Yeah. See?
You got another one you want to pop up? I mean, there's several.
Yeah, I got hold on. Let me see. I got a bunch. I pulled down a few, all of them good stuff. All of them, some great visuals. I didn't have time to pull them all down, but
don't worry. You'll have some for shows to come. I talked to Austin, and he's got 3 terabytes of storage that he's got to go through.
Oh wow!
So you can imagine 3 terabytes. You imagine how many videos and photos they have to go through.
So, come on, Jack. I'm hurt by. Come on, I swear, y'all. See, I know it's all love. They must be just messing with me. See, I tell you, man.
Travis,
what's up?
Any truth to the rumor with Dr. Cavill and Mike Washington entering the portal and signing with Jackson State, that you're going to have a front page feature on them coming up soon as they transfer their fan allegiance from PV to Jackson State?
There are a lot of media all of a sudden that are transferring their allegiance from one to the other. Once I put that shirt on Bryan, he may not want to go back. He may just keep that allegiance to Jackson State, and he may get stuck saying the I love and forget everything else by the time he puts it on. Because once you put it on, Bryan, it's hard to rub it off, because when you put the shirt on, it kind of gets in your system and gets in your blood, and you can't move it, and you just can't take it out. And it's one of those things that I don't think people really understand. And I am being civil, so don't get me again, please. I am not throwing shade at anybody by any means, if anybody thinks I am. But Bryan knows how I am. Bryan knows I do not forget promises kept, and I happen to be watching the show. And he got caught because as soon as he said it, I sent a message into the show and said, I asked what size you wore. I mean, plain as you got to be careful. I watch all of these because I have to keep my job. Like, I've got one that's going to come on behind me, that's on behind me now, that I'm going to rewind and start it from the beginning once I get off of this, so I can see what they say. Because I did shoot a message to them on social this morning, say maybe y'all need to revisit all those picks y'all made last week before the game started.
Look, I appreciate Jimmy Matt. Look, somebody said get AD a shirt too. Hey,
size large, Travis, size large.
I just worry about the screenshots, Travis. That's the part, because I know folks keep receipts. That's what I'm gonna have to deal with, and that's gonna carry all the way into that game in October in 2025. You know, so that's the part that I had to deal with. But you know, again, it was a profitable day back in Jackson State, so I have no problem supporting, especially when it quote unquote pays off for me to do so. So, well, I'll say that to everybody.
At the end of the day, Lord, we're still celebrating. I don't think we've come down off of that mountain yet, because it really hit. You know, obviously when the clock hits zero, a lot of emotions hit all at once. But it really doesn't hit until those wheels touch down.
Yeah.
And when those wheels touch down and you're back home and you realize you got that trophy sitting on the plane with you.
Saw that. Yeah.
That's when it hits home. And I think for us, it's going to be around for a while. Now, for me personally, I'm going to continue to celebrate. But Wednesday, I got to get on a plane and go to El Paso for basketball. So
I was going to say, your work changes gears. Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, those basketball coaches love our football program.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll be talking about it on the entire trip. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is as far as that. But we're gonna ride this as long as we can. They're gonna finish up recruiting. Now, this will help the recruiting process in the end. The guys that they're trying to finish up signing. I know I got a bunch of DMs that I had to send to our coaches and be like, get these guys out of my DMs. And so it's one of those things
wants to come play for a champion now. I remember that.
I mean, it is what it is, and it just, for us, a lot of people like to throw shade at Jackson State and like to say this about the program, that about the program. But at the end of the day, Jackson State is Jackson State. The one thing you can't say and you can't take away is that Jackson State is the 2024 HBCU national champion. And as much as that hurts people to say or hear, is something that will never be taken out of history. So you just got to get used to it and just ride the wave for a little while, because you think I keep receipts. I Love keeps a lot more receipts than I keep.
Yeah, boy. Do you? Hopefully y'all can uncheck all of them. Now that people, there might be some that are people still holding on to, but after the weekend, after going to look, hey, Jackson State family, in 2025, clear out the receipts, clear out the bookmarks. Y'all done put them out there. Let them go. Let it go. Let it go. Let 2025 be a fresh new start.
Hold on. Go to August 25th, 2025, and then you can start focusing on 2025. I Love, Tiger Nation, you heard me. Don't give it up yet. You got till August of 2025 to keep it going.
Well, from Travis, I want to say this as we get ready to wind this up. From the highest of 7 hills in Tallahassee, Florida, we respectfully pass our 2023 trophy over to the 2024 champion, and hope that you have the same honor and reverence that we did in Tallahassee for it at 1400 Lynch Street we shall see if we can get it back in 2025.
Well,
Hopefully, you guys get to celebrate longer than what we got to. So that's all I'll say about that.
Drew,
I hope yours isn't tarnished as ours was.
Drew, I can tell you this: y'all can keep that 23 trophy because we like the 24 one a lot better.
Sure.
Y'all keep the 23 one. We don't want anything passed down. We want to win our own. But I had to get one in when you said you passed it down to us.
We had the championship, the reigning champions. Now you guys get the throne. Just don't muck it up by December 31st like we did.
Well, here's I'm not even gonna talk about that. So the biggest thing is for us it's not only did we win it and are now the national champions, but we also represented the conference. So a lot of people want to jump off the ship and when they don't want to, because it's Jackson State or FAM, they don't want to support the other team. But at the end of the day, when you got a conference team going for a national title, no matter who it is, sometimes you just got to swallow your pride and cheer for your conference team because it looks better for your conference if they win, because you never know, there could be things coming down the pipe for your conference when they do win the game, as compared to when the MEAC ran the Celebration Bowl for so many years and the MEAC got a lot more attention than the SWAC did. So just keep that in mind as we move on. Now, granted, at the end of the day, we did bring it home for the SWAC, but most importantly, we brought it home. And you heard TC say it at the end of the SWAC championship game. That one was for Jackson, Mississippi. This one is for Jackson, Mississippi, because it's a long time coming, and maybe it'll wash away a lot of things that have happened over the last few years that people now can rest easy and know that everything's going to be all right and we're going to be fine. And yes, I did take that from Austin's video that he put up last year because he tried to tell everybody that we're going to be all right, but nobody wanted to listen. So, I will say this, and TC said it, and it's factual what he said because it's out there, that the rebuild is not finished. I mean, we're still building and putting pieces in place. And so, when you see the signing class come out, we're not putting anybody out till February. They can announce whatever they want to on social. Nothing officially is coming out till February. Just the signing class, I'm just going to tell you, will fill a lot of holes. And we're going to also recruit our players to stay, because at this level, especially after yesterday's performance, you have to recruit your own players in order to stay. And we got a lot of guys coming back that were big, impactful players this year, and a lot of guys coming back that were hurt that didn't get to play late in the year, like Baby McCray, a Rico Powers, a Kobe Paul, a Tyquan Henderson, 4 of our top wide receivers, a Jency Riley, our starting tight end, who was lost in preseason practice, a J.D. Martin, who medically retired himself, graduated, Ahmad Miller, who was our 3 running back, didn't play the last month and a half of the season. So a lot of people don't realize how much we were missing on our team to be able to still put up the numbers we put up. And we still have people saying, well, you only scored 28. Realistically, and I heard you talking about it earlier, realistically, that score should have been 48-7. 2 penalties behind the play that we're still trying to figure out. And I do agree with the reason we think that Rob got called for the holding penalty on the interception return is because you don't think a 6'3", 215-pound defensive back can hold a block. And Rob basically pushed him out of bounds and held the block the entire time. And then the personal foul was behind the play, and all Allen did was just shove the guy off to get him off of him because he kept grabbing. So it is what it is. Those were Conference USA stories. So I will just say this, and I'll end it on this. Coach Taylor said it on the SWAC call a couple of weeks ago when Doc Holliday asked a question. He said, the train has left the station and we ain't selling any more tickets. This could be a train that's around for a long time. So that's just me. And if anybody wants to clip that and use it, if we do fall flat at some point in the future, be my guest. But right now we're riding a high and we know what we got coming in and what we got coming back. So we're just going to ride that wave and see what happens.
Hey, what's the post-game plans? Where are there going to be? Are you guys figuring out parades and celebrations? Because I know with this fact that school is out, it makes it challenging. But if you can, anything you want to share here, or I'm sure you guys will post stuff. But any heads up on what folks can expect in the area in Jackson as far as celebrations and stuff like that?
Look, all I know is I think all of us have been sleeping all day today.
Gotcha.
So there hadn't been any plans come out. But Brian, let me address something because over the last year to 5 years, 7 years, however long I've been in the conference, and I see it posted in there. You know, everybody gets on about Tiff and Jay, you know, about how bad they are. I'll just put it to you this way. If you don't know those two individuals are really good at their craft. And you're going to, as a fan, you're going to be swayed one way or the other because they have a job to do. And yes, they do talk a lot about the MEAC because that's where they're both from. When Tiffany was at Florida A&M, she was in the MEAC. When Jay played, he was in the MEAC. They're coming around. When you hear them on their call, on our calls with the coaches, they are heavy SWAC. They are heavy like they were heavy Jackson State. But at some point, they have to tell the stories. And if the stories are more MEAC related, and Jay is gonna always be Jay. Jay is gonna always talk about the MEAC because that's what he's familiar with. Just listen to the game, watch the game, because they are very good at what they do. They prep, they talk, they come to us pregame. So when I tell you that if you're going to complain about Tiffany and Jay, here's what's going to happen. Keep complaining, and our games will go off of ESPNU. They'll go off of ESPN2. They'll go off of ABC. They'll go off of ESPN because we won't have anybody do the games. Those are your two HBCU game play-by-play and analysts. They're going to be whatever the HBCU game of the week is. Just get used to it and let them do their job. Let us handle the other part. If we hear something, we'll take care of it on our end. But just for everybody out there, this is not just for Jackson State. This is for everybody. They are two of the best around. They are two great people. You just have to get to know them. And it is a hard pill to swallow. Like sometimes I get mad and I swallow my pride. I'm like, I get it. And so the next week when we have a call with them, TC goes, so what's it going to take for us to be in your top 5? And when he does, Jay puts us in the top 5 the next week because it shows him we're listening. Yeah. So don't, just keep in mind that, we're all professionals. We all have a job to do. Do I agree with everything they say all the time? No. But I respect them enough to know they are doing their job to the best of their ability. And that's all you can ask for. I know a lot of people don't like me. And now, especially now that I'm at Jackson State, they don't like me even more because they think because of the way I do my job. But I respect everybody I work with and I'm around. And so I'll say that and I'll leave it at that. But before I go, I just want to tell you two and everybody from the media this year that covered Jackson State football, thank you for everything you did. Thank you for always being there whenever we put anything out to help uplift the story and make it bigger. I know sometimes it's hard for both of you, especially being as though, where your allegiances lie, it becomes a little murky. I really don't want to push this a lot, but I respect it. And that's why I can give you a hard time when I see you in person, because I know you respect the job I do. I respect the job you do. And at the end of the day, that's all we're here for, is to tell our stories, and to have people uplift those stories. But Doc, I know you're in here. Whenever you get ready, just send me your shirt size and I'll go ahead and put that shirt on you that soaks into that stream too. And I can bring it to you at a basketball game in January, because we come out there in January right after the convention. And I'll go ahead and tell Chuck to start working on you a little bit, because I know Chuck can sway you a little bit too. And then Mike might be a little bit harder, but he did ask a couple questions in the press conference that made me believe he was becoming a D.I. Love fan again too.
Hey, and I'll add to what you said, Travis. Y'all complain, and we end up with people other than Jay and Tiff who don't know our schools and don't know how our schools' names are or the order of the letters.
Alcorn, Tuskegee.
Wait. What did you just call them? Did you just call them Al or all?
No, that's what they say. That is, when I've listened to some other people do it, they say Alcorn, not Alcorn. Like we say.
It ain't Always.
Exactly. and Tuskegee instead of Tuskegee. How do they say instead of Albany is Albany? Those little enunciations that we have on our school's names, they get wrong. And I've seen it. You don't see it at your level, Travis, but especially on D2 games. Oh my God, on D2
games. I do. Remember, I'm still entrenched in the HBCU world. I started in 14 at a D2, so I'm entrenched. I still get it. Trust me.
Yes. And Travis, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for your friendship and reaching out to me earlier this year, although I was unable to assist you. But the fact that you reached out to me really meant something to me, Travis, when you needed some assistance.
No, anytime, and know that we're all in this fight together. I've been at both types of institutions, so I know what it takes to get what we need. And I'll say this: the HBCU world didn't choose me. I chose it in 2014, and I did leave it one time, and I came back. So for those that want to throw pity and anything else on me, I chose to be in this world because I can make an impact and continue to do what I do. And I said that openly on Radio Row, and I just got the text, just so everybody on the show knows, the one is in the portal, so he will get his shirt in January. So Bryan, yours will be in the mail as soon as I get that address from you, and I know you're gonna slow roll that address, so I'll get it from AD. Don't worry. AD, if I ain't heard from him by Wednesday, I'm texting you to get his address. Or Roy. No, I got one better. Roy, I know you're listening because I saw that wink a while ago. Go ahead and send me his address.
I got you. I'll send you my address. I don't shy away from a bet.
Well, I can give you some stuff to replace your wall too, because the blue that you got on your wall is not doing very well this year. So I can give you something a lot more blue that's doing really well this year to put up on the wall.
This is my sister's wall. So she's a Tennessee State grad. So this is where, so anyway, Travis, we appreciate you. Congratulations to you, the Jackson State family, everybody in the athletic department and your offices. Congratulations on winning the SWAC, winning the Celebration Bowl, and more importantly, being the undisputed HBCU national champs. Congratulations to all.
No, I appreciate that, and I will echo that to all of our administration and coaching staff. So I'll tell you thank you as well. And to all the Tiger Nation and the I Love family, appreciate everything you've done during football season. But we still go to the sports going on. Don't shy away and disappear. But as Coach TC always says at the end of it, hey, it's go Tigers all day. So go Tigers.
All right, Travis. Take care of yourself.
Appreciate y'all.
All right. Travis Jerome, ladies and gentlemen.
Class A.
Huh?
Class A.
Oh, one, no doubt.
And before we go to this break, can I throw this in, Bryan?
Yeah, real quick, because I know we got a few other final things we want to chat about real quick, and we gotta get ready to wrap it up because I gotta get to a few things before I hit the road and head back to Orlando. So
yeah, I'm just gonna say this. I've been with Jay, off camera, behind the scenes at some of these events. We hung out with him, and y'all just don't know Jay. Jay is most down to earth person that I've been around. He's a class act. Now he will talk his trash. Don't get me wrong. He reminds me that I went to FAMU and that he went to Howard. But once you get past that, he all right.
Hey, look, I just go back to the fact that we have we have two HBCU grads who are heavily entrenched in the sporting diaspora. They know our programs in schools. And so, and if you guys have never picked up the differences between their knowledge of our schools and other people who don't, it is crystal clear. As crystal clear as it is when you listen to the Marching 100, the HBCU Band of the Year. Anyway, it is that clear, the difference, and we can't lose that. For however long we are on ESPN or whatever, wherever we go, it's important that we have people who know our schools, who know our brand, who know the fan bases, what the bands are called, the names of the auxiliaries, the dancing teams. They know because they're a part of it. They live it. So, that don't get so riled up that you all complain so much and so loud. Make sure you throw in, what they say, Drew? Mix in 2 bits of praise before you give one negative comment. So when you send those emails out, make sure you add in the 2 positives before you drop the negative.
Right. Hey, Brian, lest we forget, when Tiffany used to get pushed to sideline reporter
Yes.
for these big games.
Yes.
Lest we forget, Robert Griffin III used to be in the booth for our games.
Yes.
Y'all better leave well enough alone.
Exactly. Preach. All right, let's take a short break, then come back and wrap up the show. Got some interesting, now that the season is over, what is going to happen in a few coaching spots? I got some news that, I don't know, Drew may log out. I don't know, but we'll see. The rumors are about to start flying, and this week is going to be real interesting. The week before Christmas, where a lot of shuffling is going on in the house, not a creature is stirring. So we'll see coming up here in just a moment. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2025? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 31st to February 2nd, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances from the Levert Experience and the Bar Cave. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends, honoring talents such as Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, and Luther Vandross. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
Tickets are on sale now for the 4th annual NBA HBCU Classic presented by AT&T, featuring Morehouse College and Tuskegee University. Don't miss this action-packed event happening at NBA All-Star 2025 and filled with competitive matchup and marching band performances celebrating HBCU pride. See you in the Bay.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and A.D. here, putting a close on the 2024 HBCU football season. Drew.
Talk to me.
Give me your top 5 as you closed out the season. I sent you my top 5. You know, we're a voter in several different polls. Our top 5, I think we both are, have. Well, let me give my 5, and then you give your 5. How about that?
All right.
All right, my 5. Of course, I start with Jackson State at 1, South Carolina State 2. 3, I moved Tennessee State to 3. I put North Carolina Central 4, and I moved FAMU to 5 over top of Southern and Alabama State, who they beat. FAMU beat both of those two teams. Even though, yes, I know Southern has one more win than FAMU. So again, my top 5: Jackson State, South Carolina State, Tennessee State at 3, North Carolina Central 4, FAMU at 5. What's your 5 look like?
1 and 2, no question. Jackson State, South Carolina State. I did not have to move Tennessee State because Tennessee State was already my number 3. 4 and 5 is where it gets interesting. Obviously, you've got North Carolina Central, you've got Southern, you've got a FAMU, you've got an Alabama State. You've got four contenders for 2 slots. I went with Southern at 4, based on the fact that 7-1 conference record. Yes, those cats had 9 lives, where they only had 8 lives because the 9th life was taken by the other cat, that being the cats in Mississippi. But I went Southern 4. Why did I bump Southern over North Carolina Central? Number 1, Southern did not play Virginia Lynchburg for one of their victories. Number 2, I cannot get that onslaught that they took by Elon at home out of my head every time that I vote that I consider Central in the poll. So
my guy Johnny Thornton's going to give you hell for that. But go ahead.
I have to bump Southern up over that. Yes, the Southern beat FAMU. But Bryan, I cannot put FAMU in my top 5 after losing to an over forever Valley. I can't do it, Bryan. I'm a realist. I love FAMU to death, but when you lose to an over forever Valley, I cannot justify putting you ahead of any of those other teams, Bryan.
Despite beating 3 teams in your top 5.
Bryan, that Valley loss takes all of those brownie points away.
Okay. All right. I mean, it is what it is. We're not going to sit here and debate.
And Bryan, we're not talking about a FAMU who came in with half the starters hurt by injury or something like that. We're talking about what we thought was a FAMU that was as healthy as you could be at that point in time of the season. And not only did they lose Bryan, the way they lost to Valley, they just gave Valley the ball over and over and over again.
Yep.
So I'm sorry, Rattler. Yeah, I love my highest of 7 here, but as a journalist, I can't do it, bro.
All right.
And FAMU, just so you know, FAMU does go above Alabama State based on the head-to-head. So FAMU would be my 6.
All right. There we go. I'd love to hear you guys in the chat. Put your top 5. What's your final 5 for the year? No respect for you if you don't have Jackson State 1. South Carolina State should be 2. And then I guess it goes down to who's your 3, 4, and 5. Now, the question, there might be some people.
Oh, hold up. Can I backtrack something for Bryan?
What?
Tennessee State made the playoffs.
And
none of those other teams didn't. And Tennessee State played a very respectable game.
South Carolina State would have made the playoffs if there wasn't a Celebration Bowl, though.
No. I'm talking about for that number 3, in the number 3 slot. Tennessee State making the playoffs, winning a share of their conference title also gives them the advantage over a Central.
So okay. So, but I like that.
And the Southern, over Central and the Southern.
All right. So I'm curious. Like I said, there might be a lot of people that throw Tennessee State in at number 2.
That could be an argument for that, but both of them, no offense, both of them got their ass kicked the last game of the season that they played.
They did. All right. 36,823 was the number.
Let's talk about that.
That attended the Celebration Bowl. Thoughts, Drew? And you pointed out a couple of interesting stats too, which I wonder if those, because we were talking in our booth was the ESPN guys. I wonder if any of that actually made it over the air. Some of the info.
I hadn't got to the second half of the game when we started talking numbers. I did watch the first half when we started throwing numbers out there at them. The 36,823 is the lowest attendance since the pandemic year of 2020. First time under 40,000 since the pandemic. But that 36,823 is also larger than any pre-pandemic number that they had. That includes both the Georgia Dome and at the Benz. Now, what?
Hold on. Give a year, Drew. Give a year, so that way we understand. Some people might have forgot what year the pandemic was.
Okay, the pandemic was 20. So 21, 22, and 23 all had attendances over 40,000, including the record 48,000 during one of those Jackson State years. I can't remember if it was the South Carolina State or the Central.
I think
it was 48,000. Last year, I believe it was 43, 44. I could pull it up in just a second.
I'm pulling it up now. I got it. I'm pulling up the attendance numbers now.
Because I remember looking at it when they gave me the number. That was the first thing I did was go back.
Okay, here I got you. I got it. Okay, so in the years following the pandemic, starting with 2021, this was South Carolina State versus Jackson State 1. 48,653.
That's the record.
The following year, 49,670. That's the record. That's the Central Jackson overtime game.
Yes.
Last year, 41,108. FAMU and Howard.
You got the full pre-pandemic or the
okay. So the pre-pandemic years began with, and four of the 5 were North Carolina A&T. So you had the very first one. This was in the Georgia Dome, 36,528. Then the next year, and the last year in the Georgia Dome between North Carolina Central and Grambling, 31,96.
What was the first one? I missed it.
35,528. That was the first one. Then the following year, where it was North Carolina Central and Grambling, 31,096. The lowest was the following year, which was the first year in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium between A&T and Grambling, 25,873. That's the lowest. Then in 2018, A&T versus Alcorn, that was A&T versus Alcorn 1, 31,672. And then the rematch in 2019, which was 64-44, 32,968. That was the three-peat for A&T.
Yes. Yeah. So, factors, Brian. Factors on why we dropped under 40. You have any idea? You have any theories?
Yeah.
Or should I start?
Well, here's the thing about the factors. Like, we saw a decrease. We saw a decrease in the SWAC championship game where there was only 23,000 in Jackson.
But we thought people were saving their money to come to Atlanta.
Right, that's what we thought. People were saving their money, or people said, "Oh, they don't want to see Jackson State beat Southern again." It was all cute, right? So, okay. So what that means is I thought, and I saw someone else post this, that I really thought the numbers were going to be over 40. I really thought it would be closer to 45 because you had, if that was the factor, then you had people saving up to go to Atlanta the next week. Okay, cool. But I also thought South Carolina State, which should have been really energized and excited, you know, and I thought they would have showed up. You know, but here's the thing. If I think this crowd was very much maybe 55-45 Jackson State, right? What would you agree on that?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it was. No, where I would probably say, I would drop that a little bit. I would probably say like 45, 40, 15, and then 15 just being general HBCU fans.
Right. So, you know, I'm seeing you guys, great comments here. I don't disagree with any of these. I really, you know, I see everything people talking about promotion, the SWAC championship being again a week after, being able to book flights might have been a challenge. The date also being a challenge.
I'm gonna
I don't
be
know.
honest with you.
I honestly, I can't. I like all of them. I can't put my finger on one exact thing because
And there's not
what I thought was going to happen didn't happen. So now I really don't know. What do you think?
Well, number one, we should be coming to this game no matter who in the doggone game. If you're a real HBCU football fan, if your team happens to be here, I think there's bonus because anybody who's been to this game, whether your team has been here or has not been here, and let's be real, my team's only been here once in all the years that I've been to the Celebration Bowl. So whether your team hasn't been here or has not been here, you need to come. This is a life experience. I won't say life change, but this is a life experience. You should be booking that. Number two, you know, we talked about you know, game being too close to Christmas with the CFP and everything. Maybe we didn't look at that the right way. Maybe the game is too close to Thanksgiving, Brian, by moving the game up. You know, we didn't factor it in. Yeah, there's a week between the SWAC championship game and the Celebration Bowl now. So your fair weather fans are not going to have as much time to plan to get there. So that's definitely another factor. We can't blame this one on the matchup because you had the top two teams. You had a rematch. I mean, all the storylines were there, so we cannot blame the two teams. I don't know, Brian. Maybe it's just getting used to the new date. You know,
Yeah, I mean, look, again, blow up the picture. This picture I pulled right off the Celebration Bowl website. It was not a bad looking crowd. It really wasn't. I'm gonna tell you what
it was this year, Brian. That mid level. If you look at that picture, that was not full this year. The last 3 years, that mid level has been full. That second level, the lower bowl looked great.
Right. I'm gonna tell you what. I stood outside after the game, Drew. Whew, Lord have mercy.
Besides the cold.
Look, I'm trying to have a conversation and just being distracted walking. I tell you, Jackson and South Carolina State, boy, y'all travel well. I'm gonna just put it like that, y'all travel well, boy. That's all Lord have mercy. So yes, there was. Maybe the time frame did factor, because it certainly should not have been because of these crowds, these fan bases, and the matchup. Maybe the rest of the HBCU diaspora was kind of dry on going to this game. You know, maybe that's why you didn't have the extra 5,000 to 10,000 more people. Maybe.
Definitely. I will say this, Brian.
The eye candy, D-Lob, the eye candy is what I'm talking about. The eye candy was beautiful. There's some beautiful sisters walking around out there. It's why I love HBCUs. It's why I love Black women. It was beautiful. That's all I'm gonna say. South Carolina State, Jackson State, chef's kiss. Beautiful. Go ahead.
I will say this. Being here in Atlanta, there were a number of people who I would mention the game to, and like, oh, what's that? Oh, when is that again? So there were some people who didn't know. There were even people on my campus who did not realize that this game was going on when it was going on. Yeah, I've heard of Celebration Bowl. What is that again? They moved it up a week. Oh, that still ain't told me when it was, which means you didn't know when the old week was, so you even know what the new week was. So yeah, and this stuff I'll share with John Grant when we had that conversation. But we've got to promote it more within our own community, just on HBCU campuses, in our alumni groups, things like that, just to make sure our people.
But I think
aware of it. But people say what people want to say. People see what they want to see, Brian.
Okay, there you go. Yep.
So you see what you want to see in your emails. So there's only so much that can be done. What I want to know, though, Brian, outside of that 36, which is a very respectable number, I want to see what the viewership numbers are. That's going to be the telltale sign of what was everything worth it. When we get those viewership numbers, and if the Celebration Bowl still ranks in that top 10 of the metrics are going to change a little bit this year, because you used to have to just measure against the New Year's Six bowls. Now you have to measure against the whole CFP now. So how are we going to measure with those metrics now?
So I just did a quick search. I'm reading an article here, HBCU Game Day from last year. So let's see. Last year's Celebration Bowl TV ratings posted its smallest audience in history last year, according to Sports Media Watch. The game pulled in a TV rating of 0.9 with average viewership of 1.51 million. It was the third-ranked bowl in the opening week, but the lowest of the 3 games broadcast on ABC.
But what did we have last year, Brian, that we didn't have this year? I don't know if you remember.
We
went up against the NFL.
Yes. Last year you had NFL games going up. That's right. Thank you, Drew. You had NFL games going up against that game last year.
The metric is going to be what the Celebration Bowl does against all the other non-CFP bowls, the Alamo Bowl and the you name your sponsor bowl, the Poulon Weed Eater Bowl and the Outback Bowl and all that garbage.
Yes.
What does Celebration Bowl do against those type bowls? Because we're not going to do, our numbers are not going to register against the Sugar Bowl, against the Rose Bowl and Peach Bowl and things like that.
And don't compare, and I saw this post, I don't know, I forgot who did it. Don't compare multiple FCS playoff games with the Celebration Bowl.
It take all them to get what we get in one.
Thank you. The attendance from the weekend. Now, this that I did see, there was one of the 4 FCS games that were played. Only one drew like 15, 16,000. I think the others drew all under 10,000. Again, our Celebration Bowl drew 36,000. So I don't want to be disparaging about the 36,000 because it is twice the number from any bowl game. And keep an eye out on the FCS National Championship game, which is in where this year? Is it Frisco?
I think it's in Frisco again.
Next year, it's supposed to be moving to Nashville, right? It will still draw. The Celebration Bowl will still draw more than that FCS championship game. So I think it's something. We'll wait to see what the numbers. Here I was looking at the numbers just on this article. 2022, Jackson State and North Carolina Central had a rating of 1.42 and drawing an average viewership of 2.42 million. And in 2021, Jackson State versus South Carolina State had a rating of 1.61 and 2.59 viewers. So I think the question is, Drew, will we fall between the 1.51 million viewers of last year and the 2.42 million of 2 years ago?
I think we'll fall. You say that again. Last year was the lower, right?
1.51 last year, 1.51 million, and 2.42 2 years ago.
I think there's a good chance because there was less competition for viewer eyeballs this year than we had last year. I think that's a realistic number. But Bryan, did you notice something that happened after the game yesterday?
I did not.
Did you pay attention before we left the media room what was on the monitors? Because the channel on the monitors had not been changed.
What they had, I know they had FCS playoff games on right after ours, right?
Right. That's because ABC aired a FCS playoff game after the Celebration Bowl. The monitors had not been changed.
To pick up on the traffic from the Celebration Bowl, huh?
We were the lead in. And I guarantee you there were bars throughout America that did not change the channel either. So they're going to have a lead in.
I still want, look, I listen to a lot of variety of shows. And what bothered me more than anything, and I wanted to call in and send emails and tweets when I'm listening to shows, and you guys know me. If you know me, if you've been on this show, you know I listen with a particular, I like to know what the point spreads and the over-unders. And so I listen to shows that talk about those kind of things. And I hear them constantly talking about those other FBS bowl games, which probably nobody watched over the weekend. And with the exception of the Army-Navy game, there shouldn't have been any other game that drew better than the Celebration Bowl. And I still think where the Celebration Bowl is hurt is now the gambling market moved the line. So let's just be real. The line moved 2 points, almost 3 points. So that means money came in on South Carolina State in order for that to happen. But not enough shops talk about this game, because I bet if anybody was in Vegas, and I would love to know if anyone was in Vegas over the weekend. If you were in Vegas, I bet you that Celebration Bowl game was on a big TV in the sports book, Drew, because guess what? It was on TV and you could bet on that game. And I think that's the little thing that sometimes can push a game to the next level, because guess what? Hey guys, guess what? If you didn't know, gambling is legal in this United States of America, in most states. Most states. And when people are now watching football games, not just for enjoyment anymore. So when they're watching those games, they're wagering on those games. So when they talk about Jackson State versus South Carolina State, which they should have been because it was a noon game on ABC, that should have got talked about, and not a game against Louisiana Tech versus, I don't know, whoever they played Saturday night. Some meaningless bowl game.
Versus Montana State came on after our game.
Right. I mean, really. I mean, it's so, I don't know. That's one of the places in one of the areas that we have to get to. And that's a promotion. That's a marketing thing and I'll say this, if Mr. Grant's listening, whoever your marketing people are, if people can wager on the Celebration Bowl, that industry needs to know about the Celebration Bowl because it's on ABC and it is a main game and it needs to be talked about. And you want people talking about this game wherever and everywhere. My take.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Anything else before we get out of here, Brian? Because I got one last thing.
Band of the year. Congratulations to the Marching 100 of Florida A&M, who took home the championship in the Division I level over the 2023 champion North Carolina A&T. Reading right from HBCUsports.com. Congratulations to Dr. Shelby Chipman and the Marching 100 for their musicality, for their performance, the incomparable Marching 100, representing the SWAC. That's right. Takes home the trophy. And also to the Division II champions, the Purple Marching Machine of Miles College, who earned the title over the Virginia State Trojan Explosion. Best nickname ever, by the way. Love that name. Congratulations to those two programs.
Hey, Brian, Travis just sent me a text. He said 25 of that 36 was Jackson State.
All right. So 60-40 Jackson State. 60-40 Jackson State. Okay. So Jackson State folks showed up. So we saying South Carolina State didn't show up.
Definitely. I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna see if I can upload this shot, Brian, from the Band of the Year contest.
You guys are conspiracy theorists, man. You guys, hey, look, I'm gonna say this. You guys always swear, oh, you guys are moving the goalposts. Now y'all moving the goalposts in the band competition, huh? Because y'all didn't win last year, and Southern still hasn't been in it. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna stop right here.
Brian,
congratulations to Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter, of course, a Jackson State. I've learned something, Drew. You don't have to graduate to be an alum, so I guess he's an alum of Jackson State, right?
Yes, he is. He's
all right, so there you go. Former Jackson State football player Travis Hunter.
He's an alum, not a graduate. There's a difference.
Yeah, took the award. I thought Ashton Genty would get it, but I guess it is what it is. But Travis Hunter, congratulations. And he did give a shout out and mention Jackson State. So, and hey, shout out to Jackson State for even acknowledging that in their football tweet. So, there you go. What a great day for Jackson State. Jackson State football took home a national championship and had a Heisman Trophy winner.
Just got to show this. Oops, you won't let me.
Can we play it?
Yeah, just that. Courtesy of Jamonte McLeod of the SIAC, recognized talent. It caught all the drum majors up, all 5 drum majors in the air in one shot. I just send me that shot. I love that shot.
Yes, sure. Tell them to send that. I want to make sure to use that on Wednesday.
I just sent that to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that was one of the top shots that he sent. Brian, last thing that I have, when we have the Cricket BX SWAC Challenge in August, Brian, the SWAC where we have it is Drive for 5. The SWAC has won the last 4 times that they've been in Atlanta. That's 2 Cricket BX SWAC Challenges and 2 Cricket Celebration Bowls in a row.
Really? Okay.
Let's see. Alabama State defeated Howard 2 years ago in the challenge.
Yeah.
FAMU defeated Norfolk State in the challenge. FAMU defeated Howard in the game championship game last year, and then FAMU defeated Norfolk State. No, I'm sorry, Jackson State defeated South Carolina State.
Yeah.
So that's 4 in a row for the SWAC. Is the BAC dominance gone, Brian? Yeah, the drive for 5 by the SWAC, John Grant. You can go hit. That's another freebie. The drive for 5 by the SWAC.
2025 MEAC SWAC Challenge between Southern and North Carolina Central, right?
2025, the drive for 5.
I'm already handicapping that the early line on that game, Drew. I'm early lining it, and I'm basing it all off of Carlos Brown. So this is because of Carlos Brown.
Southern who?
Huh?
You say Southern and who?
North Carolina Central.
Oh, my goodness.
And only because of my conversation with Carlos Brown. North Carolina Central is the early, I'm saying 3.5, early 3.5 point favorite. Way too early. 3.5 point favorite. I teased something earlier in the show, and this is how I'm going to close the show, Drew. Sometimes the more interesting story is in the losing locker room. I heard a well-respected sports radio talk show host say this often, and I'm starting to believe it, because all eyes will be on Orangeburg, South Carolina over the course of the next week. If you know, you know. The searches for coaches at Alabama A&M, Prairie View A&M, Mississippi Valley State. Who else still needs a coach?
On the FCS level, there are 10 openings right now, Brian.
And there might even be some new openings. Keep your eyes open in 2 particular states, the state of Alabama and the state of South Carolina. As the world turns, as the coaching carousel gets swirled around.
You forgot Norfolk, Brian. Delaware State.
Yeah, I forgot about Norfolk, forgot about Delaware. But I think the more interesting stories, Drew, are going to be in Alabama and South Carolina State. Got a feeling it'll be an interesting week what happens in one or both of those states. If some of the information or just some of the talking reports that came out of the Celebration Bowl come true, it's going to really shake up and shock a lot of folks. So keep your ears open and make sure you are locked in to your favorite. Matter of fact, not just us. You should be logged in and connected with all of the HBCU media folks, because there will be a rush to jump on YouTube to be the first person to come out and say, guess what I heard? Guess what I know? Guess what I'm reporting? There will be a rush, a mad rush. So stay locked in, subscribe, hit the bell, hit the likes and the notifications, because it's about to get real juicy in the next, I think, 48, 72 hours. Now, if it don't happen in the next 48, 72 hours, enjoy Christmas. But I got a feeling in the next 72 hours, Drew, it's about to get hot.
It's getting hot in here, so hot. Take off all your clothes.
Right. Yes, exactly. Right there. One thing to know, another to say for sure. That's why
at the BCSN, we not trying to be first. We trying to be right.
I'm just telling you where to look. You know, I don't know if it'll happen or not. I'm just telling you where to look and just get your notifications on. That's it.
Yeah. Brian.
All right.
With this year's Cricket Celebration Bowl, we have returned to normalcy. Why do I say that as I give my parting shot? Last year, you had Florida A&M and Howard face each other. Do you realize that is the only time that the MEAC has not sent a representative from one of the Carolinas to the Celebration Bowl?
Wow. Yeah.
Do you realize when Florida A&M won, that is the first time that a school that does not have the name state behind their name won the Celebration Bowl?
Oh, look at you, Drew.
Because everybody forgets It's North Carolina A&T State University. Now, with Jackson State defeating South Carolina, also happens to be a state, the Celebration Bowl has returned to normalcy after that one blip. A little known Celebration Bowl fact coming straight from the dome of A.D.
And with that, we will close with a triumphant T.C. Taylor saying yes. 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 Well done today. Again, thank you to Coach Farasi Norman for all of his work during the course of our second season together. And we salute him, honor him, and hope that we see him on the sidelines at an HBCU university in the upcoming 2025 year. We also salute and say thank you to Travis Jerome and all of the Jackson State football and athletic department, including Coach T.C. Taylor, to all those young men. And congratulations to all of you fans. Congratulations on winning the SWAC Celebration Bowl and the national undisputed HBCU national champion, the trifecta. Second year in a row that's happened, by the way. So congratulations. Enjoy your victory. And we look forward to competing with you guys and dethroning you in 2025. That's what the other 11 schools will be aiming to do in 2025. So I appreciate it. There you go. See? All right. Well, that's going to do it. I want to give a shout out while I was here in Atlanta. Shout out to Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church. I went to church with my sister today, Drew, and my father. My sister joined that church today. Beautiful service, beautiful, beautiful church. We had a great time. So I want to give them a shout out and encourage you. If maybe you live in Atlanta, maybe you come to Atlanta, go visit Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church in Marietta. You will enjoy the service, and I look forward to coming back. My sister joined the church today, so I'm looking forward to coming back and attending more services whenever I come up to Atlanta. So got to give them a shout out, and you can look them up online, Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church in Marietta, Georgia. So with that said, I'm a couple hours from getting on a bus and heading back to Orlando. And Drew, you have a great week, and we will do it again next week, I think, right?
For those of you all in the Atlanta area, we've got a businessman special going on tomorrow over at Morehouse. Game will tip off at 11 a.m. as we take on the Central State Marauders at 11 a.m. So if you're in the Atlanta area, come on out and support the Maroon Tigers.
There you go. Maroon Tigers. All right. Hey, hit the thumbs up, the like button, subscribe. Make sure to check out all of the shows on the Black College Sports Network via the BCSN Pod Zone, or follow us on YouTube, MyJBN Online, or the Black College Sports Network on Facebook as well. Any and everywhere that you support our network, we appreciate it. And have a blessed week. Peace be unto you and your families. Have a great week, family. Enjoy it. Jackson State, enjoy your week, and hey, we'll see you down the road next week as we get ready to end. I don't know if it's the last show of 2024 or not, but it might be pretty close to it. So, all right, for A.D. Drew, I'm Brian Fulford. You guys be well, take care, God bless you, be safe, happy holidays, peace out.
Travel light, everybody.